Hey listeners, it's Nico here in the edit. If you're not already aware, this is coming out way past when we planned for it to. We encountered a bevy of technical issues, microphone issues, lost parts of files. It was a hot mess, but we fought and we got here. We're releasing it. I think it's a really great episode, and I think it's really important if you've watched The Big O Part 2 and are maybe struggling with your feelings a little bit. I think John was an excellent guest, so we did what we could to recover as much as we could and make the edit the least amount of awkward as it could be. But that said, it is a little rougher than I'd usually like. So with no further ado, I do present it, and I hope you have a great weekend.
All systems nominal.
それでは早速全速前進
You know what the weak point of a mech is? The fucking pilot.
Get away from her, you bitch!
His papers say he was a raven.
Protocol 3.
A pattern blue!
Welcome to On the Shoulders of Giants, Giant Robot Power Hour, discussing mechs across media, their stories, and why we love them. I'm Brian, and I'm joined by Alice.
I can be your Angel or your Dorothy.
Okay, you tried. I'm joined by Nico.
There is a specter haunting The Big O Season 2. The specter of Schwarzwald.
And then we have, I guess technically first-time guest, John Durham here.
Hi, I'll be your villain for Season 2, a strange individual with a threatening accent coming at you from overseas.
We are discussing this week how I have the right to walk into Alice's negative space mech and reset the entire podcast if anybody disagrees with me. It's Big O 2. Let's launch into it.
Just quick up at the top, I know it looks like we have a new animation style and there's a lot of reused old cells of our old animation style, but we're just going to kind of glide past this because this is more of like a fan production than a real production.
Let's get into it. I'll just say this was produced in 2003 by Cartoon Network, Sunrise, and Bandai Visual. They kind of formed a gestalt to get this done. Again, I'm not going to say much about this because you should buy the zines. At this point, if you're listening to the show, you know that I have never shut up about the fact that we're doing a zine.
What are you talking about? I just jumped in on part 2 of Big O coverage. I don't know what you're talking about.
If you just jumped in on part 2 of Big O coverage, there is a zine. It's actually, it's produced by Giant Robot FM. It's produced by Stephen Hero over at Giant Robot FM and a bunch of those guys over there. But I joined the team, so I've been constantly talking about it. And it is those zines, the Big O 1 and 2 zines, are just elongated versions of what we talk about when we talk about the production history. Really, really detailed stuff. They're all really, really good. The Big O 2 one is really good. You should check it out. John, I know you did have some stuff, though, so I wanted to give you some space for that.
Yes, sure. Yeah, so, I mean, the only thing I really wanted to bring up as context for how I look at Big O Season 2 is, like you mentioned, it is a co-production between Cartoon Network and Bandai Sunrise. So Cartoon Network, famously approached them after Big O was cancelled by, I believe was it Wow Wow originally was the station?
Wow Wow.
Yeah. And then Cartoon Network approached them and said, look, we want Season 2 and we want more action and we want the mystery to be explained. In a 2010 interview, I believe, with Sci-Fi Japan, the director, Katayama, he came across as very amicable about it, but I really do feel like the nature of there being this sort of foreign involvement in the development of the show, which is extremely rare in anime, I feel that does kind of overshadow the entire production on multiple levels. That's the only thing I wanted to bring up as context for what I'll be talking about. The rest, I don't want to steal any of Giant Robot FM's lunch, but that's the only thing I think I will be returning to a lot.
Well, and to give a more direct tease to information that I do know is in that zine is Cartoon Network had stipulations for giving them money to produce this show. They said they had specific things they wanted them to do with the story. So if you want to find out more about that, during the break, there will be some information on how you can get both zines if you're an OSG listener for like a reduced price. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, actually, so normally we talk about what we knew about the franchise before we got here. All of us have already said our piece on that, but I don't think we've heard John. So I'm going to put John on a pedestal again, second time in a row.
Keep doing it.
What's your history with Big O?
So I think we got Big O slightly after you guys in America.
Okay.
So we never had Toonami. We had we had a station which was called CNX, which stood for Cartoon Network X, and it was entirely distinct from the Cartoon Network channel. But
was it extreme?
Oh, it was so extreme. And so they would air shows like Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop in a sort of
let's go
8 p.m. to 9 p.m. slot. And Big O came to us in its entirety. So for me, there was no gap. If I watched episode 13, next week I then went on to episode 14. And I believe this was around when I was sort of 13, 14. So I watched it through on television, got a bit older. There was one DVD box set that came out in the UK under the Anime Legends imprint, which was like a very short-lived Bandai thing. And I bought that, rewatched it a couple of times, and then I put it down until very recently when I rewatched it for the first time in about 15 years. So I did have that kind of like end-to-end experience as a young man, but I haven't really touched it since.
That's insane. I can't imagine what the whiplash coming back 15 years later is like. That's insane. But Brian, I have to interrupt you before we get into the synopsis of the media, because there's something we have to do when somebody is on the podcast on the main feed for the first time. And that's I have to ask Jonathan a lot of questions about mechs. Jonathan, what's your favorite mech?
GM and things that look like the GM. Everyone's favorite working boy. The mech that shows up to do the 9 to 5.
We love the guy who clocks in, clocks out, has to get his oil changed. He's just here patrolling the Mojave. He's just out there. What got you into mechs? Like, where was your entry point into giant robot related things?
So I was kind of primed with reruns of Thunderbirds and Stingray. Mecha adjacent Jerry Anderson puppet productions, and they had a lot of elements that you'd go on to see in Japanese anime and things like that. So I was, the transformation sequences, the long sequences of pilots moving from point A to point B on their magic traveling sofa with pistons. And then it wasn't until, again, my kind of mid-teens when CNX came out and it brought shows like Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star with it. And then there was also a block on the Sci-Fi Channel that aired Nadesco, Evangelion, and Gasaraki. And yeah, as someone who, loved the Jerry Anderson shows, then having, grown up with like, wow, there are cartoons that are made in Japan. These are pretty cool. So then, they have robots in them. Hello. Like, it woke something deep inside me that's never gone to sleep since.
So, my last question, because I've realized I need to make these things shorter because our episodes are 3 hours now, which we need to stop. We are not that podcast.
Also, I did already interview John and ask multiple of these questions, but that's fine.
Yeah, but that's behind the paywall. Wait.
Okay.
We don't have one of those. We just go out here in front of God and everybody and drop episodes about Scarlett Johansson.
In front of God. All right, please continue. Please continue.
Dorothy or Angel?
This question is problematic, and I'm putting it out there that we don't ally ourselves.
I'm glad I
with
now
this.
have the "I'm sorry, women" clip.
Do you have anything you want to say to women?
I'm sorry, women.
After hearing Brian Soul leave his body in the previous episode where you were just asking him to rate every anime girl in a bikini, I'm now glad that I can suffer with him and face this kind of question just completely out of the blue. I think Angel as a stand-in for the writer in a creation of, a work of fiction makes her appeal to me more than Dorothy. I think I have more I find her more relatable.
Well,
also,
was
Alice is
beautifully
cosplaying
written.
as Dorothy today.
Yeah!
The listeners should know.
I have the black headband, but it's not big enough.
I just want to say that I feel like you didn't take into account the Android-only door handles that you'll have to face in your life.
That's really good.
I want a woman with a skin-tight water suit and a long jacket. That's all I'm saying. I'm not dressed for this. Whip. Can't see.
Dorothy has a 2-0 loss to win ratio against giant magnets, and I've never seen Angel be done dirty by a giant magnet. So
That's true.
She's got that. She's got that going for her as well.
Put more iron in Angel's blood. Anyway,
What the hell happened in season 2?
yes, please explain this to me.
I have to dismount from this terrible bit I've done.
We pick up right where we left off with Roger in an uneven fight against foreign Megadei, which should be the plural of Megadeus. Just putting that out there.
Megadeus.
Nope.
And the fight goes so badly that Roger has an Evangelion-style psychotic break and experiences an illusory time reset in which he is a nobody and Paradigm is at peace. Don't worry, though. He fights the Megadeuses off, and for a little while, the show sets itself back into a smooth rhythm of showing us a cool robot once an episode with some extra background hot sauce filled in. In the last 6 episodes, we move almost entirely to a serial episodic format as we reveal that Paradigm is under siege by the French. Alex Rosewater manipulates Paradigm, City, and Company into what I guess is a situation that will allow him to instill a new world order using his new big foul to cement the ideal of his power. Unfortunately, though, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. But like, literally, though. A bunch of what we at OSG call Promare level last-minute exposition dumps happen, and the world state is reset to the first episode with some small changes. We're left with that to sit with, and so are you, now that we're heading into the break.
Hey, Nico here in the break. Just popping in to say that while this is a podcast and we'll always do our best to describe the visuals we're commenting on, we'll also include a link in the show notes to the OSG website where you can find all the mechs, scenes, and other images we go over. The show notes and website also have content warnings as appropriate for each episode. One more thing, did you know we have a Ko-fi? We decided it was time to pass the offering plate and see if we could swing some new mics, subsidize some of our hosting fees, and justify watching Scarlett Johansson's Ghost in the Shell to ourselves, which absolutely requires bribery. Check it out at ko-fi.com/OSGpod. That's ko-fi.com/OSGPOD. You can give us a little walking around money with a one-time donation. And hey, whether you can come up with a few bucks or you just stick with sharing and enjoying the show, thank you. It's a real joy to make this and know you're out there listening to it. That's it. Back to the show.
Okay, I broke this up into 4 parts, kind of the same as last time, except that the 4th part has the 4-episode mark instead of the first part.
Wow.
Part 1 is episodes 14 through 16. Big O showcases some new weapons. We meet a new fucking freak of a villain, and Big O plays catch.
Okay. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So Alan Gabriel has a French accent in the dub?
No.
Okay.
No. Let me talk. Let's
Okay.
Let's talk about Alan Gabriel. First, I want to say, in terms of voices, in the Japanese version, he's voiced by someone whose name I will pull and put in. But I just want to say, as an old taco, I immediately recognize his Japanese voice actor as the narrator from Hunter x Hunter, which is an absurdly good show that everyone should watch.
Good pull.
And then the other thing is his English voice actor is Crispin Freeman, otherwise known as Togusa in Ghost in the Shell.
Otherwise known as...
He's also...
the ghost haunting the pod other than Schwarzwald.
Yes. So Crispin Freeman's back.
Issei Futamata.
Thank you, Alice. That's his Japanese voice actor.
He's done so much shit.
Both of them are turning it up here. Crispin Freeman doing a wonderful little freak. That's it. That's all I have on. I mean, he's obviously queer-coded like psycho, which I'm always going to identify with, even though it was kind of meant to harm me.
Alan Gabriel queer-coded? I thought he was just French, etc.
I love George Michael. Anyway.
I like the reveal that he's clearly got a blonde sort of semi-bowl cut under that hat.
That all French are blonde?
Yeah.
So, Nico, you're the only one here who hasn't seen the Big O season 2 yet. So I really just, right up the top, how did you feel about the alt timeline jump suddenly?
Everyone I know who was aware that I had not watched the Big O Part 2 was watching me like a fucking zoo animal to see what I would
In a
do.
cage.
With the Big O Part 2, Alice was like, can you please live tweet? Steven last time was like, hey, interested to see how, like, everyone was like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Brother, I love Pathologic is what I'll say about this. No, just listen, like, as someone who studied creative writing, I have had a lot of exposure to, hey, what if the story was about stories? It caught me off guard, but I adjusted for the most part. I think I did have some friction with some stuff that I think John is going to bring up later about, I don't know, what it felt like the energy was behind the scenes that produced this. There were definitely some rancid vibes in some of the episodes, but yeah, I mostly was just like, oh, we doing this now. We have to make Roger a member of the proletariat, even just like spiritually. Like we have to, I don't know. It was a really weird move, and I think there are a ton of weird moves that continue to happen throughout.
Yeah.
I'm interested to actually hear more about those.
What if, like, you were sitting in an audience watching a play of your own life? That would be crazy, wouldn't it? What if we did that in episode 14 of this show and just give you the entire ending right up front?
It's fine.
So when you mentioned the vibes, like I like to think the beginning of episode 14, first 4 minutes or so, is the best opening to any season 2 I've ever seen. The immediate drama, it picks up the second it left off. But if you watch episode 13 and then episode 14 in sequence, it is just such a jarring transition. Episode 13, you know, he's face down Red Dorothy. He's got the Metropolis book. He makes the statement that some men like to stand in the rain without an umbrella. He's asserted his freedom.
And that's freedom.
I love getting soggy.
Episode 14, he is hurt. He is angry. He is shouting. Dustin and Angel, who previously have looked out to sea and then seen Big O appear. Dustin, originally, episode 13, very hopeful delivery. Episode 14, you can hear there's like this anguish in this voice. No one is happy. And then they pull that dramatic snap to the alternate timeline. And watching that, episode to episode, you might think, oh, that's unusual. But knowing that there was, 5 years in between and corporate shenanigans, that was the first thing that made me go, oh, okay. And then obviously they then go on to go, very overtly, listen up, gang. We've got themes now.
We've decided, hey, 3 great new things. Mechs, freakier. Themes, present. Mystery, explaining. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, brother. I didn't know it was 5 years between. Okay, yeah, that explains a lot.
Yeah,
it explains a lot.
It was, so it was like 1999 to, yes, sure.
Damn, 9/11 happened in there.
Thank you. 9/11 did happen in there.
And the rise of the Christian right.
This is a post 9/11 season.
Which kind of feels relevant.
Season. Oh my god, do they teach you guys about 9/11 over there?
I have heard about it.
Interesting.
It's a shop. It's a shop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Open from the hours of 9 to 11 p.m. Yeah.
I'd like to go one day. It'd be nice.
They've got little onigiri rice balls with mayo in them. I'm losing the thread.
To go to 9/11 one day. That's the quote.
That's the quote.
Everyone was waiting for me. Everyone also, I think, was interested to hear how I felt about the art style. The art style, to me, felt very workmanlike. I'm sure we can all talk about it, but it was one of those things where, like Alice said, a lot of reuse of old footage, especially in the beginning, which sets a very funny precedent as far as flashbacks, which, one, I think is incredibly funny in a show about lost memory, and 2, there's a moment at the very end of the season where they do a flashback to their own show for once, and it was so funny because I was like, oh, you got used to doing flashbacks. You're like, oh, we don't have any relevant Big O season 1 footage. We got to use our own
footage.
Shit.
Yeah. I don't think it looks. It looks different.
It looks different.
There's
I don't
no
think
argument
it looks
there.
bad. It looks to me like someone's best effort 5 years on, and I think in a very different animation style era. I will say you definitely feel a change in saturation, highlights a little bit, the way things are defined. But it feels like somebody's best effort in that time to emulate what they were doing previously.
biggest kind of shift I noticed, because I watched all of Big O a couple of months ago, and then when we talked about the pod, I rewatched it again, and having gone from end to end and then back to the beginning in season 1, the proportions are a lot more kind of in line with what you'd expect in something like Cowboy Bebop, but there's also this kind of stylization that's very reminiscent of Giant Robo, which I again watched recently. And then in season 2, everything becomes much kind of more exaggerated, as if the instruction was, you're making Big O season 2, you need to make it Big O. And then instead of making it in the same way they made Big O season 1, they made what they remembered of Big O season 1.
Yeah. That's something
the real feeling
like
I
some
got.
kind of memory.
I was thinking a lot about fan production while I watched this. Not the least, like, this was produced professionally. This was produced by, creators collaborating for a product that was going to be aired. Like, this was very professionally done. But it, to me, as someone who reads a lot of fan fiction, really felt to me it had all of the energy of, like, this is what I took out of the media. This is what I took out of the themes. This is what I took out of the mystery, the action, the excitement. And I'm going to reproduce it, but there is like a translative move that happened there, it feels like.
My entire thought on Big O Season 2, because I've thought about this a lot as we went into this, because you'll never guess, mecha fans have opinions, people have opinions on anime, and there are a lot of opinions about how you can interpret media and the stories in them. And people are passionate about trying to find the answers of things and the right, correct solution to things. And we can talk about Western media too, and like shows that are currently going on. Like, I'm going to pin this on a Severance kind of thing, which is the writers of Severance grew up watching Lost and fell in love with the idea of the mystery. And when they finally got the hands on production, they cranked that up to a level that is unforeseen in Severance, right? And I think with this and with any media where it's gone on long enough that kids who grew up on it can do it, like you see it now that we're into like third generation gamers making games, pointing at Jonathan, shaking my finger, where they are so locked in on what they are passionate about that they're just diving into it in a creative way that I really enjoy, the Wes Anderson of media creation. But at the same time, I think where this exceeds so well is that they had a budget. They had people in charge. They had people to rein them in. A lot of indie developments can like go afoul of one creator holding all of the things or a committee of them. Whereas in this situation, you can really tell that they sat down. They were passionate about Big O. There had to have been like a month of them with timelines. Okay, how do we explain the micro city downstairs? Oh, we got to bring the fish people back. Don't forget to bring the fish people back. And they're like, we have to tie up all these things, because when media isn't finished, I think a lot about the Netflix canceled shows. When media isn't finished, fans fill the gaps. And you mostly see that in fan fiction, which fan fiction is like the rawest form. One person, one ethereal voice. They have no editing and they can do whatever they want. It's text.
Often they have a lot of editing, but I'll give you the one person.
No edit. Well, nobody being like, you can't do that, I guess. I don't know what that
production
would be
oversight,
called. That's the way I would say it.
Yeah.
Versus, like, as you start to get into, like, a fan game, you have more voices that have to collaborate and come to a conclusion. All of this to say, I want small indie studios to get money to finish off things that were never finished, that are slightly janky, but at least give me goddamn answers and an ending. I don't care if it's good or bad, I just want the endings. And that's why
wild.
I love Big O Season 2.
I would much rather stand with an open door. Also, I want to briefly insert 9/11 has happened between the first season and the second season. Lost has also come out in 2004, arguably the 9/11 of TV. So that's also in the conversation.
Wow. I thought you said
that's
Lost,
a strong
like
stance.
the comic, and I was like,
no.
Man, when did the comic Lost come out?
Well, maybe that too.
Yeah, Lost
actually.
also
Lost is the 9/11 of webcomics. It's slightly different.
Can somebody do an edit of Lost where it's Roger running back to Dorothy post getting her thing ripped out?
Oh my God! Yes. You know the shot comps are there.
Yep,
There's got to be a way to do it.
Okay, Brian, what were you saying before I cut in?
No, I was just gonna say, like, I have found, I used to think a lot like that. I used to think that a story needed solid answers, and to some extent I still kind of think it does. Like, I think you need to go in knowing what your priorities are versus like what or with regard to what questions you're going to answer and what questions you're going to leave dangling. I don't think this happened here. I do like this ending, I will say. I have become a lot more I guess like attuned to and open to not getting all the answers. I think you can feel totally satisfied with something with a lot of things unanswered. And I'm pretty sure I'm satisfied with this, even though there are a lot of things left unanswered.
No, I got all my answers.
I think Big O season 2 actually is a demonstration of creators grappling with having to return to something that the door had been left open, but the lights had been turned off and everyone had gone home. Because there's lots of points where you can see this requirement to answer things, create difficulties, create tensions, and they keep trying to address. Because I think you could have ended Big O on the end of season 1 on episode 13, and it would have been disappointing, but it would have very much been Big O. With Big O season 2, they then are asked the question, all right, how do you finish Big O? And it's like, well, it was finished. It was done. Now we have to come back to it, and we've all changed as people. The world has changed. The writer, I imagine his thoughts on it would have changed as well. So it becomes very, very different. And I think that's why they make a very fundamental shift in what the show kind of is, from being a show that is a thing to becoming a show about a thing.
Mm-hmm. And some staff didn't return either.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
There's a lot of like, these are pieces that we have that.
It made me wonder, and I don't know this from a production standpoint or anything, but like, it makes me think that they knew they only had one season. And so like with the Big O season 1, I feel like the pacing reflects the fact that it's like they kind of thought they were just going to do a regular anime and then they got canceled. And so then they had to throw everything in. Whereas this definitely, there's an urgency to answering everything, like Alice said, like, oh, we got to tie in this, we got to answer that, we got to incorporate this. That made me feel like they sat down and the production staff are like, we have 13 episodes to finish, as John was saying, finish Big O. And finish to a different definition of finish. Not just it has ended, but we have answered all the questions, the lights go down, it is complete. Which does make me think, if you're sitting in a writer's room and you're trying to break the show and you're trying to, you only have 13 episodes, you're not going to get a season 3, you have to answer everything, I could understand how that could lend itself to some navel gazing, which is what I think when the alternate timeline, all the worlds of stage stuff is a little much, it feels like it's that kind of pressure being exerted, and you've got creatives who are having to reflect on what it's like to try to create in a specific environment.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's get specific here.
I want to talk. I thought Jonathan had a good note on Dawson here that I wanted to get in, because I feel
Dawson's
like
an interesting character in season 2.
Season 2 Daston is just, he gets a third dimension.
He does go from being, he isn't, he's almost accessory to Roger in season 1. He kind of is partial to the definition of who Roger Smith is, which is quite interesting, I found, because not to dwell too much on season 1, Roger feels very kind of complete in season 1, and although they raise questions, like I says, he has that moment where he is proudly sat in Big O telling the future, effectively, in the form of these 3 foreign Megadeuses, I know what freedom is, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and Dustin is just part of his backstory. In Big O season 2, there's a line he has, which I love, where he says, foreign Megadeus, foreign people. As if these are both the threats here. And then, as a character, he is just hit with the brick wall of genre conventions. And he becomes increasingly aware and increasingly frustrated with... I'm not sure whether he overtly realizes he isn't a giant robot show, but out of all of these are your standard military, they can't deal with big monsters that have ever appeared in a Godzilla movie, in Sentai, in Toku, whatever. He is the guy who is the most gone like, wow, I really wish I was written in a way that would allow me to deal with these problems. Because I exist to deal with problems, but I am hamstrung by genre conventions that I cannot.
I do think there's been an
interesting... really good point.
Sorry, Bray, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that's a really good point. I do think up until the late run of the season, I think one of the things that's working for this is that in my opinion, the only person that really knows they're in a giant robot show is Alex. But we can talk about that when we...
I was just going to say, Dostin to me is a character that has a relatively minor pivot, but a pivot that kind of threw me off a little bit, which is, it feels like in Big O season 1, he is aware of his kind of impotence in terms of like facing these threats. And he's angry at the fact that the city is reliant on Roger and on the Big O. In the second season, he seems very aware of his impotence, and he is like grateful for Big O in a way. I don't know. There's an emotional relationship pivot towards the presence of Big O that was a little jarring for me to get over, because I think one of the things that endeared me to Dostin in season 1 was that he was not thrilled with this other huge robot that was punching holes in empty skyscrapers and wrecking the street and causing mayhem. Like, 1 was bad enough. He was really frustrated with 2. I think one of my favorite moments I talked about in our coverage of season 1 was when Roger launches the pile bunkers into 2 buildings and just destroys them and doesn't actually do any damage to the other man. And he gets so angry. That just doesn't happen in season 2.
No.
There's the bit in the first fight with Schwarzwald in Big Duo where, Roger aims on the pile bunkers and puts about 7 buildings through, and Dustin's line is, "What are you doing?"
Exactly. He doesn't question Roger like that in season 2. He questions his purpose, I think. But
and
he doesn't
questions how much he cares about Roger, and he wants Roger to be safe, and he's so sad when Roger is in danger.
The fact that there's only one Dustin Roger fic. Well, I think there's 2, but only one of like serious Y'all, we got to get these numbers up.
You can't have him out here saying, "I want to have a drink with you in front of your fireplace again," and like nobody's writing these. What are we talking about?
Char and Shalia Bull again. We also, I want to highlight a lot of the cool things Big O does in this, because I think Big O in season 2 becomes even cooler of a robot because they give him so many cool things. But I want to talk about Fooly Cooley episode 4, Full Swing, aka Big O season 2, episode 16. You gotta punch the Russian satellite, guys. You gotta do it.
I love the part in Ava where they have to catch the angel, which this felt like such a almost like parody of, because they literally break. Okay, I made a meme for this that I posted in our private thing, which was the somehow Palpatine returned meme, except I edited it to somehow Christianity returned, because we talked about in season 1 that they were worshiping, and they knew that there were areas and sites and acts that were worshipful, but there didn't seem to be an actual understanding of what they were worshiping, of the word God, other than in reference to Big O. It seemed like a lot of empty signifiers that we mostly saw during the Christmas episode, aka the Heaven's Day episode. In this one, they know who God is. They know you play an organ in a church.
So there's a lot of raised fingers here.
Everyone's like, "Hey, excuse me,
Jonathan.
No, my time.
John, go ahead."
So I think in that episode of season 1, they establish Paradigm City has hijacked the role of God. Heaven's Day exists for, we find out the birth of God's son, but they keep that from the people. So effectively, Paradigm is the Messiah. Paradigm is the Savior.
They give the bread and wine.
Yeah, that's literally true.
The people do not refer to it as God. They refer to it as an angel. And all of the symbolism, they draw wings on the sidewalk. They draw, they're all wearing, the toy halos with like the little wings on their back. I don't recall them so much directly addressing it as God as seeing it as an angel. And I think in the dub, at least, they refer to it as a herald angel. It's someone coming with a message. Yeah. Someone is coming to Paradigm with something to say.
Yeah, I think I tied in something that comes later, which is like when we see Instro again, he plays the organ in a literal church with pews with people attending a service. Like, to me, as someone who was not raised Christian, I immediately started having like my Christian alarm bells go off, because this season feels so much more invested in, it feels like it has more of a Christian like element to it than the first season did. And I don't know to what extent that's production staff parties or whatever, or if that is the inherent nature of we want to question with a grapple of creator versus creation. And like one of the seminal texts on that subject is is a religious text. Like, you know.
I will say, when you said people know who God is, I think people between seasons know who God is. I think that episode is not knowing what Christmas is, which is a very specific subset of that like religious apparatus.
Also, shout out to the saxophone guy from season 1 who is fighting for his life to try to play the saxophone. And in season 2, we see multiple people playing the saxophone totally fine. They just didn't teach him.
Dub shout out, the sickly little girl in this is voiced by Sherry Lynn in the dub, who is a Tachikoma voice.
My sickly little Tachikoma.
The dad in that has the thickest accent, the
Irish
thickest Irish accent.
Yes, Irish accent.
Okay,
this is the Irish guy. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I watched in Japanese, but I also don't have a good enough ear for Japanese accents to know if they were doing one. He didn't strike me as having, like, I don't know, an Okinawan accent or whatever, but like,
or Kansai.
I couldn't tell if there was accent work going on in the way that I can in English, you know.
Because of the Irish elements in this episode with that particular character's accents, and obviously Paradigm is Manhattan, the imagery.
What?
And the outside is we established this. Oh, Brian, you're going to have to beep that.
In my notes, I did title this episode Roger Becomes a Slumlord. Because he's promised this substandard accommodation where all of these poor Irish immigrants live.
Fucking offered him some of his compensation, my brother.
I also this is nothing, but it did raise a red flag for me, which is like this little girl that has turbo cancer.
She has vampirism, is what I thought.
Is having this like lovely day at the end of the episode,
photosensitivity.
Dancing in what could only be one of two things: radioactive fallout or just straight up shrapnel from the explosion. I don't understand
like
what this stuff
is.
Russian space waste just raining down around.
Oh, the ideal is that it is radioactive glowing shrapnel.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's not getting any sicker, so just let her have some fun.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Ooh, don't worry, the world's resetting. So, mech of it all, let's talk about it. Big O. You've got 2 side anchors. What if to defeat the foreign mechs, you had 8 side anchors?
Okay, this fucking went. I have to say about the mechs in season 2, there is such an interest, I think, in going outside of like the giant robo look and going into freaks. We get some real freaks in this season.
There are some freaks. These things are freaks. I don't understand how having more of the chains helps him win.
Well, it's because
I feel like he deploys the
Brian, did you not see that it created a circle?
And then okay.
So what it looked like is these are powerful enough to punch through another big or another Megadeus, not another big, right? Because like when they show them later, they have giant holes where those hooks went.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay.
Nico, you had a list about the declarations this episode made, and it was like, we've got more mechs, we've got more action, we've got more plot, and how better can you show that by going from 2 anchors to 8 anchors?
Yeah.
It's there. It was always there. I really think Big O in this gets so much work. Like, we're going to get to it at the end when all of the tradesmen show up, and I did cry. But
I love union labor.
Like, the Gatling arms... I don't know when we get the Gatling arms, but it's the best mid-season upgrade ever.
We get those in episode 15, which is when we get Glinda, which is our first like true freak mech. This mech is a certified freak.
I saw it and I said, that's a Brian mech.
And then yes, we get Big O's.
Is this the one that has the heels? Shoutouts to one of the first gay-coded mechs I've ever seen. Other than all of fucking Bravern, and specifically in Bravern, the one with depression, that was a very gay-coded mech. But like, this is so wild. I was
you ever have depression and you're gay-coded?
I will say the way it moved again, like the specter of Ava to me is so present. Because it has an organic fluidity to the way that it moves that my first exposure was watching Ava. So, like, it was really interesting to see Big against another robot that didn't just move like clunk, 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 clunk. Yeah, this one's...
I love Glinda. I think it rules. I think the way it moves is so good.
I think the European designs that we start to see are one of the best parts of the enemy Megadeuses in this.
Glinda very much feels like the point from which they transition from this is a show we made to emulate tokusatsu to
yes,
this is now a giant robot show. And I kind of wonder if that was one of the things that got lost in the translation between 1998's production staff and 2004's production staff.
Yeah, a giant robot show, like you said, a giant robot show specifically of the actual era that this show is being produced, not emulating another era. Like, this feels very 2004. And its designs, in the animation of the robots, in the fights, this doesn't feel like it's trying to capture any particular flavor. Like, it just seems like, okay, now it's 2004 and this is how we do mechs now. It reminds me a lot, Alice, you will enjoy this poll, of Full Metal Panic. Like, a lot of the way things are animated and the fights go,
I do think it's interesting for them to pull on, in the oddest way, to pull on Dorothy being Dorothy and having Glinda the Good Witch. Why? What are themes are we doing here, guys?
There's a third Wizard of Oz reference that happens later. I'm like, we have one book in America.
Roscoe Fitzgerald?
No. We have two books in America. We have the Bible and we have the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, there's another Wizard of Oz reference very towards the end, I think, as well.
Yeah. We have two books.
As a girl from it always pisses me off.
We also only have one painting, and it's the Blake version of Behemoth and Leviathan.
Well, they only kept the paintings that were relevant to them, so yeah.
A couple things about episode 15. This is the moment where Alan Gabriel actually shows up and starts doing like antagonist shit.
Okay, by the way, if you're not watching this and you're just listening, Alan Gabriel is like an evil mime that does backflips and is gay coded. So like that's what you need to know about Alan Gabriel.
Alan Gabriel is someone saw every Tim Burton film and then applied that to the Joker.
Also, he has a golden gun.
To be clear, Tim Burton also did do a Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Tim Burton's Joker in anime.
This is the DeviantArt interpretation of Tim Burton's Joker.
Oh, yeah, it has Onceler energy.
There's a great Angel character moment when Alan Gabriel shows up where she instantly demands that Dawson shoot him. She does not act like this when in any other situation. She is immediately panicked, and this is because she is seen in a compromising position with Roger by Alan Gabriel, so basically both Paradigm and the French now know that she is working with Roger directly. I think that's a great moment that's really subtle that pays off with her a lot later.
And also, Daston is like, I'll start shooting. Of course.
And I will never hit.
Paradigm
I will never hit him.
Go.
I believe Dawson shoots at Alan Gabriel probably 40 times in this season and does not hit him once.
His grouping is awful. It's just all over the place. I'm like, my man, when's the last time you shot at anyone?
It's like 100 yards. Get one.
John, you have a note that evokes one of the best mechs in this whole show, which is Alex's fucked up crane chair.
with his ice bucket.
Yeah.
The most bougie chair ever. He's like, yeah, that's right. I've got my champagne cool. I am gonna watch the pores get absolutely eliminated.
Yes.
You know what I really like? What I really like about how they treat the rich in this is you never see the servants actually serving them. It's more like, top level with Angel. I want to see the guy filling the ice bucket in the chair. Like, what do you do at Paradigm? I keep the ice topped up in Alan's chair.
I feel like Alex is so paranoid that he only lets Alan do that stuff.
Yeah, Alan has taken Angel's job, is kind of my understanding of Alan's role. His main job is to kind of be Alex's secretary now. And also his goon who moonwalks behind him.
And there's something, and maybe it's me having my specific thing that's wrong with me, but there is a way more charged relationship that they have when it comes to like the subservient aspect of Alan Gabriel.
Listen, we get some yaoi moments. There's a moment later where I write down Alex Rosewater Beck yaoi moment.
I think my legitimate favorite part of this show is that it's a show for guys, by guys, into guys.
Dude,
like, Angel and Dorothy exist, but they are not there to be sexualized. And Angel is trying. She is out there like, please abuse me as your secretary. And he's like, too busy playing with my robot toy, can't do it.
And the only one who gets to it is the bad version of the boss. With the whip later. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So,
all right, shall we?
Yeah.
Just one last thing. So, starting with the end of episode 14, Angel is the one who. So she starts the episode with her line from episode 13, where she says something along the lines of, can't you see it's too early? The power can't be released now. Some, ominous, ambiguous.
Why'd they release them already?
Yeah, which could be anything. She is the one at the end of episode 14 who pulls Roger back to the big O timeline we're aware of. She says, right, you've got this job to do. This is your role. And he gives her some guff, which she does not take. She's like, don't talk to me like that.
She's like, we are driving into the basement of the city that gives you mental illness and you will like it.
So she effectively drags, Major Roger back to the role of Roger Smith, the negotiator. And then from this point on, her, role as Alex Rosewater's secretary, she loses it. But she becomes unfortunately, I'd like to be able to say force in her own right. But I think she becomes something entirely different to what she is in season 1. She goes from, this femme fatale, will they, won't they, to a very different character that really grows and develops with every episode that follows. And I found that really interesting as a way to utilize that character, because I don't think, when it was just Monster of the Week and she's just there getting up to Faye Valentine shenanigans, I don't think that would have been sustainable in an interesting way. And so I think having chosen her as the cast member to do what they do with her, I think that's a really sort of great idea.
They do turn her into a mechanism on which the story turns, which is really interesting.
And she goes through it for it. And I really enjoy that because her character is really always reactive in season 1 to what Roger Smith is doing. Even if she has her own agency, it's all generally in reaction to Roger. Where in season 2, she's struggling with identity. She's going through her own thing that leads her to where she is at the end.
Yeah.
So before we, leave episode 15 behind, I just want to say there's a line in there where Angel says, I act entirely of my own free will. And in a show about a show, I think that really sets her up. That's the first big clue that she is fundamentally changed. And she is not just this kind of, wet cat in the rain you see for a good few episodes. She's something entirely different.
All right. Part 2, episode 17 through 19. Schwartzwald shows up again, except, well, maybe. Beck also shows up again. Actually, that must be who Alice is talking about. I'm so sorry. And we learn a little bit more about the oil economy.
God damn.
Yeah, this is, again, my alarm bells are going off on the Christianity siren is blaring in the Nico bunker. We're going again, Leviathan and Behemoth. We're getting into, again, the Blake painting. We're getting into, there's a lot of stuff that's suddenly happening. And this is where, so this season grates on me a little bit because one of the things it does that I think any kind of continuation or sequel does is, hey, remember this from the first thing? You liked that, didn't you? It's here's Instro again. Oh, here's this again. And it's I'm happy to see Instro. I love Instro. I cherish him, but
I'm glad we see Instro as a thing that's happening over there and we don't force him to be in the shit again. Yeah,
but there are a couple of elements that just get brought back, it seems just so that they can kind of almost have a little mini clip show moment. It's hey, remember this? I struggled with that.
At the end of this episode, obviously, the Leviathan turns out to be this big sand dragon thing. Anything it touches gets turned to sand. And, like you said, there's the really obvious Christian imagery of God created the Leviathan and to demonstrate how powerful he is because he's the only one who can deal with it, whatever. But the Leviathan destroys the part of the docks where Big O has its duel with the 3 foreign Megadeuses. We never see that dock again. Leviathan destroys a lot of slum stuff that we don't spend that much time in after the fact. Leviathan, I think it destroys Instro's bar.
Yeah, that's one of the things we see.
And so it's almost equivalent to, they've obviously, set up this running motif about Paradigm City being a stage. It's almost like someone clearing a stage of all of these elements so that they can then move on to something different.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I love Schwartzwald's monologue in this episode.
Yes.
I think this is some of the most potent, theme stuff that kind of persists throughout. I think this season's doing something a little bit different with Schwartzwald, where in the first season he was kind of deployed as a maniac who's very fun to watch and was doing a lot of stuff where it was he was a character who was interested in the answers that the show is like eliding from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this season in particular, he feels very specifically like an audience stand-in. When he says, wake up and be afraid of not knowing, it's a little bit like the people who need the answers to enjoy something. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that like that's bad, and I'm not saying that the show thinks that's bad, because I think the show very much likes Schwartzwald.
Season 2 is like, oh, my man.
Well, yeah. I like him as the voice of doubt in Roger's head, you know,
yes.
Of challenging this. Also, that dude chews everything he is saying.
He's
Both the
so
Japanese
good.
voice actor and the English dub actor are chewing those lines.
It's wild. I love it. I was just sad. They're like, he's for sure dead. And I'm like, is he though?
Yeah, that's a great confirmation. This is also the first time we get the line where they introduce the phrase, another archetype. We have just started using stage terms and writing terms in conversation with each other in this show.
Oh, and there's another term that's come up that we haven't discussed yet, actually, which is very important to the season. Dominus. The idea of you are not a pilot. You are not a chosen pilot. I think I spilled a lot of words in our coverage of season 1 about my interest in the idea that Megadeuses choose their pilots. And this season, I think, is interested in that, but turns it slightly to say that, like, almost like there's a chosen one for each one. And so they've brought in this term Dominus.
So are you a Dominus or a Subimus?
Nope. That wasn't worth raising your hand for.
Thank you.
Also, Alan Gabriel line of all time, let's find out what color each other's blood is.
Okay, man. Normal lines.
Year in the Shell is still going on in my heart
Year in
always.
the Shell is happening in this season.
He literally is like, Alan, you're a new type of human. We got cyborgs. They're doing cyborgs in France now.
They are.
Got it.
This
Let's
season
go.
in general is much more interested in android-human relations, whereas I felt like it was always more of a punchline in season 1. In season 2, they're taking the concept that androids exist very seriously in a way that we will see a little bit later when there's literally like an android hate crime thing happening. But like season 1 seemed like season 1 in general had almost a disinterest in its weird defining features. Like, yeah, everyone has amnesia, memories are a thing, whatever. Yes, there are androids, whatever. Yes, our city has domes, whatever. This season obviously is way more interested in asking why those things exist. And one of those questions and answers and that dynamic here is interest in androids in a way we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Another character I want to talk about growth in season 2 is Norman. I feel like the Norman in this, there's a specific scene that you called out the reference to that I was like, oh, that's where that's from, John?
Oh, is that with his cupboard, his little Thunderbird Stingray cupboard? Yeah, I love that. How he's just like, well, I've got things to do, and then just kicks through under the sink or something.
I
and
need the gif. I cannot
slides
believe
off somewhere.
we have a gif of Dorothy doing her ridiculous enter the convertible maneuver, and we don't have a gif that I could find of Norman kicking through the bottom of a cupboard and jumping into it.
Yeah,
I'm obsessed with him.
So going from this conversation at the end of season 1 where he's like, you know, I just knew to help you and work on the Megadeuses, et cetera, into this season in which I feel like it's less of he's more on the level with Roger. I always felt in the first season he was operating at a level above Roger of certainty of character. And in this one, he has his own kind of like, I don't want to say doubts because Norman never doubts what's happening, but he gets shot in this season in a way we've never seen him be shot before. He also dual wields pistols against robots. So that's awesome.
He has his own grappling hook. His own little Batman zip line.
I think there's definitely more of so in episode 14, when we get the flashback, we're presented with, and it's literally on a stage, we're presented with this idea that Norman has always been the caretaker of Big O. And when Roger formed a relationship with Big O, Norman kind of came as part of the package and just immediately insisted, I'm your butler now. Like, I serve you as I serve Big O. But to me, this whole season gives a real energy that, like, in Norman's youth, he was Roger, or a type of, like, character like Roger. Not literally the same character, but like he does a lot of the similar kind of gadgetry stuff. And like we've seen him do a little of this before, but I definitely had the vibe of like the old hand teaching the young hand, whereas before he seemed like more of a plot contrivance to make sure that Big O was always ready for the next fight, you know?
I love 007 Skyfall.
Is Norman is also a valued local employer.
Yeah,
He
you know
is
what?
keeping
He
a
is
lot of
job
people in
creator.
work.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a real asset to his community. You know,
Yeah.
he's not just a one-man show.
You know what? Between this and her getting the high-grade oil, I'm like, these are the questions I wanted answered in Big O.
Did you want...
How is
Truly.
Dorothy getting her oil?
Did you want to raise and then just like not care about the answers to another question about foreign influence, which is episode 18, aka let's get a little it's aka Edward Said. Are you seeing this shit?
We gotta go to Japan Dome.
What is going on with this?
I don't fucking know.
This episode, like, I remembered it. I remembered the plot elements. You know, I've been on YouTube. I've looked at a little video of Big O versus the RX-3. I was like, cool, great, fantastic. On my most recent rewatch, second most recent rewatch, I was like, if I did not know this episode was made in Japan by Japanese staff, I would assume the show had been hijacked by the most racist man imaginable.
Yeah.
Because these guys...
We're doing 1980 levels of Japanese people have the tech.
Oh, no, this is like... well, I mean, as well, like the way they're illustrated, it is some 1940s DC comic yellow peril. They're all small. They've all
really
got buck
crazy.
teeth. They've all got cameras. Every time they're on screen, they're taking pictures.
They're animated in a whole different way in their movements. It's hilarious.
I was like taken aback, and this episode really shifted the gear in which I was perceiving Big O as a show about itself.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, for just a Japanese production staff to just, you know, I can't know what they were thinking, but I can make some assumptions. For them to just go directly in this, I was like, I would not see this happening unless there was a very explicit point that was being made.
Yeah.
And in this episode, Beck goes to this dome, which has the golden pavilion, it has the blue reflective lakes, it has the bright blue sky. He has one of his cronies doing the Japanese tour guide thing with the flag. And
now, is that the gender neutral
character
or the other one?
It's the one who looks like they've come out of a Kiss tribute act.
It's Joker White,
like,
the Jonker.
Yeah, and they are like they're wiggling their hips from side to side as they walk.
It's so
with
wild.
the little flag, the whole thing.
Yeah, and so the thing is as well. So Beck, the blondest, whitest guy imaginable, a clear representation of the West, goes to this highly racially charged presentation of the East. And I think there's there's some lines where basically he says, like, you know, I am gonna... It's to the effect of, like, I will give you something that Paradigm will find really impressive. Paradigm will love this project. And so I began reading there a bit of contention with the foreign involvement. Because it
that
very
was
much
what
seemed
got
like
me.
Beck is the white guy coming in. He's like, don't worry, I've got something that Paradigm, as a stand-in for America, you know, being Manhattan, Alice, you mentioned, with like the American Art Nouveau aesthetics. And then there's the bit where he is in the RX-3 when he does like the sword thing, and he says, at least in the English dub, he says, I will show you the mystery of the Orient.
He says basically the same in the Japanese.
I was like, okay, cool.
Yo. And
what
this is also,
here?
you know, he also has, this is the episode where he has the Getter mech with the Getter combination sequence.
Well,
it just seems to me like they wanted to do a joke episode, but like this episode, all of season 2 is so interested in the threat of people from outside Paradigm City coming in. This is the first time we've seen this dome. This is the first time we've seen this kind of East versus West Orientalism thing coming in. It feels so weird to have this episode plopped in as a comedy beat in the middle of the show that is so worried about where do different languages come from? Where do different Megadeuses come from? It is so worried about foreign versus domestic, and then this episode drops into it, and I'm like, oh, so we just wanted to do a silly one? Like,
I guess.
I think Beck is taken much more seriously later in the season, so this episode just... Anyway, I didn't know what to do with it.
the plot of this episode is that Beck hijacks this obvious Japanese stand-in to produce a replica of Roger that does nothing but shout the catchphrase to hijack Big O to drive it into the ocean.
Again, another thing where I was like, okay, so Big O is stupid now, so the Dominus thing does not exist. You just need the voice and the face? Like, and I mean, to me, this kind of gestures that later we see like a production line construction of Rogers, but like, this is such oh my god, this episode, I'm just like, if you obliterate
I agree
one
this episode sucks. I do think you're the thing that's bothering you. The logic does stand because Big O does stop on its own before the big moment where
I know, but like
I think this episode sucks. I'm just saying I don't know that it undoes anything else necessarily.
In defense of this episode by Alice Reynolds.
Of course, here's Alice. The shit that no one likes to defend her.
Okay, here's why I like this. So I think this is a cool commentary on how Giant Robo started in the Japanese scope of these giant destructive mechs that transform and fight and destroy things aren't actually a bad thing. Like, oh, it's fun and you're doing actions and you're like posing. Like, the sequence in which this combines includes Beck driving off a red bridge ramp to land at the head, and all I could think is, what happens if they're not around that bridge? How do they combine? Is there always a bridge? But there's this kind of like childishness and like not seriousness that it shoves in here, and then if you take giant robots and put them into a Western audience, we're like, it's got to be big. It's got to have a lot of armor. It's got to have a lot of guns. And the fights have to be brutal. And we've got to get into these deep themes. And so it's like Beck is always over here trying to be an anime character in an anime that is trying not to be an anime.
So I think I'm with you, Alice. I think as grody and rancid as episode 18 is to watch, it was made on purpose. They made it for a reason. And so there's that commentary on that level. And then getting into the mech of it all, so the Beck is the robot is called the RX-3, which is 2 digits away from being the RX. Well, it's a couple digits away from like RX-78-2, the Gundam. It looks like Zambot 3. It does, so it has this Getter Robo-ness to it, but the fact that it is 2 trucks, like I don't know if you guys have watched Space Runaway Ideon, that's 3 trucks that drive along and then the legs stand up and the other grabs it and becomes part of it. So it's like a montage of Japanese mecha, and then it does, the sword thing, and then it gets blown to pieces in an instant by the biggest American gun you've ever seen. And Alice, in your last episode, you mentioned about how Big O was aesthetically American. It was a big American car on legs that hit things. And I think if you look at the mech designs to date, so in season 1, the episode with Sybil, the French resistance woman, her mech is I believe it's a Horikawa robot, the marching toy robots, and they are iconic as one of the first major export goods that Japan produced post-war. You've got the 3 foreign Megadeuses, like the grey guys in suits, and although they are very toku, they're kind of reminiscent of like, the British Cyberman. You've got this RX-3, which is a pastiche of multiple different Japanese kind of super robots. So it really felt like there was a statement here in the content of the episode itself, but then this final conclusion fight of a assertion of America over the world.
I mean, Dorothy and Roger are literally just getting the tie on. They're like, this is not even a concern. Like, we have nukes. What can Japan do to us?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot to look into there. I struggled with the episode, but
was it the 3 Japanese men standing in front of a sign in Japanese, and they were like, what does that mean?
Alice, it was everything.
It was just all of it. I didn't like the robots. I thought the action sucked.
Yeah, me and Brian are just like psychically connecting, but it's okay.
I love Beck. That's it.
We gotta get to the robot hate crimes.
And I also just hate Beck.
Yeah,
that's
Beck's
the thing.
Beck. I will say I like Beck better in the latter episodes of this season than I ever have before. But that is, again, the bar is in the dirt, partially buried, and they're finally stepping over it.
I will say Steven's theory about Beck being Angel's brother is getting more and more solidified in my mind because he just exists outside of the paradigm. Anyway, what happens next?
Robot hate crimes with the pipe bomb crossbow.
Robot hate crimes. In case you were wondering, in case it wasn't clear this is New York, this guy explicitly has a Yankees baseball hat.
The Yankees lose.
I was like, oh my god, is that Tom Cruise?
Well, this android being the only thing to be wearing like 90s streetwear. Like he's got the Yankees hat, he's got the puffer jacket, he's got the big sneakers, and he's rolling around, and everyone else is in like their crisp 50s suits and ties.
Weaponized drip.
Hey, Nico.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this construction mech.
Fucking.
Oh yeah.
This is if last episode was the anti-Nico episode that made me reflect on like in high school when I had to have my I'm an otaku as a white girl, do I need to talk about Orientalism moment? This is the episode that's like, shh, Nico, it's okay. Let's just look at robots. And I said, thank you for my life. First of all, we're meeting a lot of different types of androids that we haven't met before. We are meeting initially, the worst death in this show is when we see the guy who has the junkyard robot working with him, and it gets fucking obliterated. Like
they were in love.
They were married. That was his partner of 20 years.
Well, similarly, the rich guy has a very established relationship with his android, and they say like, I think are they the one? Is that the guy that says the line about androids developing feelings if they're with someone for long enough?
Yeah, like there's so many interesting questions.
There's a lot of implications about these lads and their androids.
And this is also when we get the establishment that androids. This was maybe sort of alluded to, or like maybe taken for granted in the first season, but we get the explicit drop that androids also lost their memories 4 years ago.
Yeah, and see, this directly contradicts something that I was asserting when we covered the first season, which is that possibly the only beings that retained memories were digital ones, were constructed ones. Because we talked a lot about how the Megadeuses had memories in them, and how it seemed like focus on what of Dorothy's memories versus her current lived experience was influencing her actions. Now the show is taking the firm stance that actually androids lost their memories too, which asks some interesting questions, I think, about android agency. But this episode turns on the idea that there is one psycho with a pipe bomb crossbow, which Jake is most American, but I'm not legally allowed to get a gun weapon ever. He is just going around killing androids. And like, I was so afraid we were going to see Instro die here. I'm glad we already sort of had a dubious destruction of his bar that he wasn't in because he plays the organ now.
There's some great stuff with that though. Like the scene of Dorothy using 2 cars to get the pipe bomb off of herself is just obnoxiously insane.
And steering it.
It's very reminded me of the Matrix. It's very over the top. But yeah, obviously Dorothy is being targeted, but another android that is brought in here is the robot detective. Dustin gets to be part of a buddy cop comedy with an android.
Yes. I love this detective robot. Quick translation note, I watched this episode in Japanese, but I went back and watched one scene in the dub because I just kind of wanted to know what the flavor was. There is a scene where in the dub, Dawson derisively calls him Mr. Android, but in the sub, and to me this is the better energy, he calls him Androido-kun, which I just think is like way, way better.
That's so cute.
There's a way different dynamic to those things.
Well,
like,
Dustin is disappointed when he realizes that the android is monitoring him, and the thing is he cusses him out, and he's like, oh, that's not at you, that's at the guys who will be reviewing this tape later, they can all go and do one. And I thought that was very cool. And then when at the end, when he faces down the fact that the android was sent to do this in the capacity that it may very well get destroyed, you can see he's a little bit choked up about it. Like the fact that this guy who he's been rolling around with, being like buddies with, a bit like, hostile, but very much in that like gruff senior police officer way. When he finds out like, oh, they would send you out here to die? Like, the hell with those dudes? Like, what's their damage?
I love Detroit Become Human. I'm kidding. That's a joke. Please don't clip that.
Whoa.
Don't clip that.
I was just going to say, I think that their conversation at the end does more than Detroit Become... I think their conversation at the end did more... What's that guy's name that did that and the other stuff?
What do you mean?
The guy who did Detroit Become Human.
Oh, well, Clancy Brown played the older detective, but Oh, David Cage.
Yes.
David Cage.
You're trying to pull the Sun King
Their conversation
himself.
at the end does more than anything David Cage has ever done in his whole
obviously.
career when Dawson asks him if he's aware that Paradigm knows that Paradigm deliberately sent their android detective to track down the android guy, knowing that he was going to be targeted. And Dawson is like, what is your opinion on this? And he just says, "Thank you for cooperating with me," and walks away. Banger. I love that
cop
so
in
much.
the workplace energy.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Matt. No, but just
forget it. No, sorry.
No. I'm just saying, like, it's where do the powers that be weaponize your otherness? Like, where do the powers that be find utility in you being different? It's when you are disposable and when you can communicate directly with the community that they have no influence with. And like that, again, androids are always stand-ins for other dynamics, whether that's gender, queerness, race. They're always a metaphor. But like this was really like bleak, specifically in the context of policing. I do also think the second half of the show has a lot stronger opinions on what it means to be a police officer, especially a military police officer, in a way that pays off really interestingly.
And I just Alice, I know you have something, but just a real quick shout out to this episode. I just think the storyboarding in this episode is like the best the show gets almost. There are some the scene where Roger's arguing with the Paradigm secretary and they're trading the business card back and forth and the business card blocks the person who's not talking in the reflection. Like there's so much stuff like that in this episode that rules. It's so good.
They mess with the photography in a way that's really cool.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. The android, is his surname given as O'Reilly?
Yes.
Because like I was just like, oh, we're back to like the Irish immigrant experience here, which is, and like you were saying, Nico, about the android as the stand-in, and it's very weird how, and I guess the thing is like dealing with the history of New York City, you've got that Irish immigrant thing, which has been dealt with the Angel episode with Satellite, and now we're back to an O'Reilly who is becoming a police officer, which arguably is like a legitimate standing within the society, but he is treated as a totally disposable tool of the state.
Well, I mean, that's a dynamic you see a lot in America. If you're part of a minority group, the easiest way to kind of get powers to try to assimilate into a power structure. But then again, the power has its uses for people who are minorities. And we see that in this for sure. Brian also posted the abominable 3-word phrase, Detroit become Irish. And I just wanted to put that on Front Street. I wanted to put that on the show.
Alice, I'm sorry. We've been tramping on you.
No, you're fine.
What's
it's
up?
Good. I just want to say this show does do things in its season 2. So season 1 kind of gets away from trying to directly evoke anything that's happened in Mecha. But in this one, they are kind of leaning into like, hey, you know other Mecha, right? Specifically when Dorothy is in the jail cell that she cannot contain her, the construction bot stands up and it has a Zaku Eye activation.
Yes,
they use the same sound, too, as the original Gundam. And it's one of those nods that's just like, oh, yeah, they had access at Toonami to this in a really cool way. I really liked that part. I also, we got to talk about it, mech of all time, Norman's motorcycle. It's got missiles in the sidecar.
Bro, the sidecar missile thing goes crazy.
Such an incredible scene. I love that visual where her seat raises and then those two bars just bump and then you get the full.
But at first I was like, oh, this is bad. But every time I watch it, like, this is the most non-sexual, casual, we're firing missiles at a robot thing that I really enjoy.
It's clearly for someone, but you know.
I mean, Dorothy does it.
I love that. It's clearly for someone.
Listen, sometimes you see, there's a scene later of whipping that I'm like, this is clearly for someone, you know? Like,
to kind of jump on Dorothy for a second, I think she's interesting in the way that, like, you making that point just really hit me, at least through the lens I'm viewing it. Dorothy is a character that has zero sexual energy to her. And they could have, you know, android teenage girl wearing a maid outfit who lives with an older man who does question if they're in love. Any other anime from any other period, they absolutely, like, I feel like I could not trust that concept. But the fact that, you know, she exists, she operates this way. And then you have this scene where, like, you know, her legs are kind of splayed open, but she's just straight-faced. Her hand is already on her skirt for dignity. And, you know, I think the intention of the scene is clearly too busy going, ever
This is
seen.
the coolest sidecar you've ever seen. Yeah.
It's more.
As I said, a little relish on top.
To continue on with that with the Dorothy, in the episode before that, she legitimately just asked Roger to his face, why can't we date? And he doesn't really have an answer. And we start to go into this like, look, okay, I'm going to defend this. And I'm going to say Dorothy is based on an adult human. Okay.
I love when Alice has to say, hey, guys, this is fine, actually.
I think it's fine, actually. And I love the through line of them, coming to terms with the weird kind of love they have. That is I would call it like an aromantic love. Or ace love, probably.
I maintain that I would call it that, and I think the first 13 episodes of the show have a room for that reading. I don't really like where we go with it in this run.
It's so over moments or the love triangle that they're trying to construct between Angel and Dorothy and Roger.
Yeah.
I think Angel and Roger are trying to create that. I think Dorothy is processing.
Dorothy, okay, sorry, real quick. I just want to say, we talk about Dostin as a character that's chafing at its genre conventions. One reading of this thing with Dorothy is her going, aren't we positioned to be in this genre convention? And Roger keeps going, we don't have to be. And Dorothy's like, but aren't we put in this position? Which to me would explain why there's almost this no chemistry, but continual raising of the question. I don't know. It's interesting to me.
Part of the kind of meta-textual interrogation of what's going on as well. Roger really does not feel like a presence in much of this episode. Like, he's kind of there to get a little bit angry about things, to pilot Big O, but it's mainly Dustin the detective and Dorothy and Norman's episode. But there is a line when he is driving, and Angel is just she's appeared in his car, and she just says, "Have you forgotten about the mystery of why you can pilot the Megadeus?" And she says something like, don't you think it's time we blow the dust off that question? And that very much felt like an assertion by the production staff to be like, oh, we are counting down the episodes. We do have a mystery, actually. So Roger,
it's episode 19 out of 26.
You need to start making some work. Come on, buddy. Pick it up.
It works for her as a character, too. Her position in the story as an executive producer.
She is a mechanism, yeah.
OSG check-in. Episode 18, we get a girl in tube asterisk. It is Roger in a tube. We get a girl in tube, but it is Roger.
I am upset. The only redeeming part of episode 18 is when Dorothy comes to do the negotiation, and Dorothy is shit at negotiation because she doesn't bring anything good to negotiate with, and instead of doing an equitable exchange, she just punches through the tube and gets Roger out. I love her.
But this was all great. But do you guys hear that singing? Is that Les Mis over there?
Les Mis?
Les Mis.
Oh, the psychic damage.
Part 3, episodes 20 through 22. The French are here. We see Big Fow in action, and we fight another eel. The French are here. And they are doing Les Mis.
Somehow the French
the dub actor is chewing this French accent. I love her.
Okay, yeah, it's time for Toxic Yuri feat your mom / your older woman who you kind of have weird chemistry with. Yo, Vera...
Your mom's sister?
Vera has Vera had so much potential. Unfortunately, the haircut is not doing it.
The haircut is crazy.
She's on that Maximilian Pegasus tip. I don't know what's going on.
I love the way that the French are assembled by, choir marching. In this, there's what do we know about French culture? Oh yeah, well, Les Mis,
Bastille Day.
I love the Union as people who obsess over memories, so they latch onto anything and create a culture around it. And they think that Paradigm is holding just a vault of memories that you'll just turn the key and you're and we all remember how to make anything other than tomato stew for dinner. Hell yeah.
Okay, I have not had a chance to say this before. The fact that the tomato has become a trigger image for Roger is killing.
Oh,
Miorine, is that you?
I can't take it seriously.
The tomato thing is This show contributed hugely to the tomato mecha continuum that does
It
exist.
keeps Mech in the pocket of Big Tomato.
And is followed up by G-Witch.
Yeah.
Like, very explicitly, I feel like.
G-Witch interrogates the tomato question. Hey, we do get the one best reused animation in this, which is old man eating tomato. Thank you for coming back 3 cells of an old man eating a tomato.
See, okay, I'm going to repeat Nico's line. This is for somebody. Gordon is smeared with tomato detritus in a weird way so much in this show.
One of my fun, original notes is just, this guy just wants that stew. Just wants that. Like, his motivation for about 2 episodes is like, is stew ready yet? Are we going to have some stew? Can I have some stew? I'm going to go get some stew. Does anyone want some?
It feels like the show does not know what to do with Gordon Rosewater, but it understands him as a big piece. And so, I think the show in the 2nd season is way more interested in Alex. And so what they decide to do is, the name Oedipus is dropped multiple times in a way that, that's not relevant to this, because Alex Rosewater has never been shown having a mother. Until the weird assertion at the end. But, they don't seem to know what to do with Gordon, with Metropolis, with the tomatoes, and it feels very shoehorned what they do with it.
The Oedipus thing is kind of there, because the other half of Oedipus is that he kills his father.
Yeah, well,
right?
I mean, there are a lot of people who kill their fathers that don't involve their mother.
I don't disagree with you there.
So I feel that Gordon does have a role to play. So in season 1, he is set up as the architect of the paradigm system, but he is the outgoing savior. He just wants to chill and grow tomatoes, and obviously tomato imagery, whatever. But he tells Roger, even in season 1, he's like, all of this backstory is complete nonsense. Don't think about it. And then when he reappears in season 2, he makes some sort of really assertive lines, which almost, he may as well just, turn to the in-universe camera, stare the audience square in the eyes and go, this is a work of fiction. Because I think in this line, he says something like, if something doesn't exist here and now, it's the same as if it didn't exist in the first place. Yep. And from a narrative perspective, nothing exists except what is actively being dealt with in the text at that time. It is all up to the writer's discretion. And Gordon acts to really push. He's not the stand-in for the writer, but I feel maybe he is the stand-in for a producer, for the more kind of workman elements, like the stage producers, maybe the people
I also had the thought, the author whose work was adapted always strikes me, because they often get executive producer credits, and his role as the author attributed to Metropolis, even though later he says it's I didn't actually write this book. I think that's really interesting angle to be coming at it.
I like the producer aspect of it, because it's almost like he's someone who's read the script once or twice and then has just sort of rolled with it. And so he has he knows the important big bits, but has sort of suborned the rest of it into kind of whatever is happening with he at several moments he also appears to be developing severe dementia, so it's kind of hard to tell what's really going on with him.
It's hard to tell if that's an act or what.
Yeah, exactly. I was or he just doesn't want to answer that question, so he says, "Is the soup ready yet?"
Honestly, when I'm older, I'm gonna start pretending to have dementia anytime I don't want to talk to people.
I as we just, the natural conversation we're having here is just really leaning into, hey, the whole world is a soundstage. We are literally on a soundstage. We're going to find out later. And I just really love how we can interpret these characters and their places of this as members of a production staff or a production that is ongoing. Especially thinking of the domes as sound stages and some of the elements with lighting we get later. I think it's really cool to think of okay, so where does Mr. Rosewater fit into this? And I like him as a Cormac McCarthy, I wrote the original book this movie is going to be based on. And my son, who's a dickhead and runs the movie company, is now just ruining it. But I love, I'm really into, the early Hollywood and, how it evolved into what it is and foreign investments and how it's now, a world production. Hollywood is not the center of film anymore, right? And I like this show as an interpretation of America losing the grasp on that and having full control over it.
I'm interested in the fact that, I brought up Pathologic earlier, and I did that because the frame story of Pathologic is that there are 3 different routes you can take with 3 different main characters, but the frame story is that they're all actors on a stage. The difference is that happens in the very first minutes of that game. And obviously, because this season is a follow-up to a season that previously didn't play with any of that overtly, they are having to try to do this theme work and this conceptual work all in season 2, which I think contributes to it feeling weird, and especially like to some people hating the ending. I will also say, again, I look at this as like, when you write stories and you are fixated on the idea of stories, you end up making stories about stories, because like, spoilers for a game that is very, very old, if you get to the Bachelor's true ending in Pathologic, you find out that the entire game is 2 children playing in a garden with dolls, which is something that this show seems very interested in, the same way that the entire show is this false pretense. And like, I don't really know what to do with that as something that is tacked on, and tacked on is uncharitable, as something that is introduced entirely in season 2, and then made to fit around season 1, because obviously season 1 doesn't have the foreshadowing.
I agree that that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it succeeds at that, because the idea of using the fact that that a memory is just a story that you tell yourself is...
But that's something that feels introduced in this season, because previously it felt like memories were commodities and accessible.
I don't see why they can't be both things.
I guess.
Also,
Like, I guess where I'm coming from.
This episode, as some of the episodes tell us, is memories is people. Memories are a lot of things.
So I'm going to pop off on a bit of a weird tangent, but are any of you familiar with the comic book writer Grant Morrison?
I'm familiar.
Yeah, he actually, we just saw him posting a bunch of pro AI shit, so fuck Grant Morrison, but please, that doesn't change your point at all.
Yeah. So to go back to Grant Morrison of another era, so Grant Morrison is one of my favorite writers, because a Scottish writer who grew up in the 60s and 70s in poverty in a union household, who got a job doing comics for newspapers, and got thrown off of these comics for newspapers because he kept getting too weird, and then eventually got a job with DC, and they were like, what are we gonna do with this weird Scottish guy? And they gave him Animal Man, which is like, an absolute Z-list character.
Mm-hmm.
You can't damage this character anymore in terms of brand awareness. Do what you want.
Yeah.
So Grant Morrison writes Animal Man as a hero who is basically becomes aware of his own narrative, of the fact he is within a narrative. And Grant Morrison in this Grant Morrison does a huge amount of drugs. He's possibly the most successful man to have ever met aliens whilst on drugs, and then actually accomplished something with his life.
We don't know about Stephen King, though. We don't know if Stephen King met aliens.
But he
I read Dreamcatcher.
And so then what he does is he utilizes a concept he refers to as the fiction suit.
Oh,
and that
this
is a way...
your note. I did want to say the hard stance of the OSG podcast is you always have our permission to get weird. Anyway.
So the concept of a fiction suit, so I'm most familiar with it through Grant Morrison. There's a few other writers that use it, and I believe Alan Moore, who is of a very similar weird British man writing
They were kind of that generation that DC scouted through Vertigo.
The British invasion, I believe they called it.
Yeah.
But so the concept of the fiction suit is that you as a creator can insert yourself directly into fiction to interact with your characters. And it's different from being a Mary Sue, because it is not perfect. It is a way that you as a creator are much more able to actually engage with your characters rather than your voice coming from another character. It is literally you are there. So in Animal Man...
Later, younger listeners may recognize this from Homestuck. No.
Yeah.
I just wanted to hurt Alice.
I'm gonna Detroit Become Human myself.
In Animal Man, in one of the final issues, Animal Man goes to Grant Morrison's house and has a shout at him, and Grant Morrison's like, I'm sorry, dude, I've got to make a comic that will sell. Of course I have to abuse you and be cruel to you and make you suffer, and I'm sorry, but this is what media is all about, and maybe you'll get another writer who will be better to you. I can't say. But, Grant, just as a little tail end, he wrote a series called The Invisibles, which was part of the inspiration for The Matrix. His story, as he tells it, is he put himself as a character in The Invisibles as a guy called King Mob, when he tortured the character, he got so sick in the same areas the character was tortured. So he decided, I'm going to stop doing that. Then he was
see how this guy does too many drugs and then gets really into AI.
But my favorite part of it is he was like, I'm going to give King Mob a girlfriend. I'm going to give him a strong ginger woman.
Oh my God, he's manifesting.
And he did. He winds up getting like this, with this woman who looks identical to the character from the comic.
Hell yeah, manifest
God.
that shit.
And a very similar, Paul Dini, who created Zatanna, who is the magician woman.
Yeah.
Paul Dini later went on to marry a Amazon-esque stage magician. So, so I think that Angel is a fiction suit for the writer, because she really does then transition to, like I said, in the last episode, she's like, Roger, you going to start dealing with this plot point or what? And in the diner scene in this episode, Roger's like, I've got free will. I can do what I want. And is there like just failing to cut up a steak. And she leans in and she's like, what if this is your destiny though, bud? What if you're designed to do this? And he's like, I'll do what I want. And she's like, sure, pal.
I love this. I want to push on it and say I see her as the director. Not just because the imagery at the end, but because it feels like when she talks to Roger, it's an exhausted director talking to a really famous actor who is like, no, I don't do that. No, I got to wear my sunglasses at all times. And they're like, it's bad on camera. And he's like, no, I got to do it. And she's like, hey, we need you to actually read the lines in the script. And he's like, nope, got to do something else.
I really approach Angel as a character who, again, previously in season 1 was a supporting character. Lupin the Third, I'm thinking about every female character in Lupin the Third. Like, she was in that role. And in this one, they decided, like I said, the Christian imagery ramps up in this. She was already established as Angel with scars on her back that look like wings were cut off. And then we had that whole big episode about the Herald Angel, the angel that is coming to tell truth. At one point, Delphi and like the Oracle of Delphi is also alluded to. Like, there's a real feeling to me that she is the only person who's read the script, and she's kind of coming in. Like in theater, if you forget your line, you can say line, and someone off stage will give you the line. And I feel like her role is often in that. She is within the story. She doesn't necessarily have the power to change the narrative, but she understands where the narrative is going and is a herald of it in a way that I think ties those two pieces together.
So she feels like because she suffers more and more as the episodes go on, till she has real, what I call her wet cat in the rain arc, where she just becomes the saddest girly. But that starts happening when Alex Rosewater becomes a much more prominent character. And Alex, I see, is a force hijacking the narrative. Because, to not, like, in later episodes, the stage starts falling apart. The story starts going off the rails. Angel is suffering because one of the players in Paradigm City is not playing his role. And so that's for me, that's why I kind of feel Gordon seems to occupy the director-producer side of things. Angel seems to occupy the writer side of things, because she's much more impacted by the original vision falling apart.
And he's literally at the stage where he's like, throw the script out, start from zero.
Yeah,
this script sucks.
I just had a moment that makes me feel like I should have a joint in my hand, which is, hey, do we think that the basement of Paradigm City, which is what I continue to call the city substructure, do we think that Roger gets ultimate mental illness going down there because it is functionally like a character in a stage play going backstage, but they don't know that they are an actor or a character? And so they're just like, I'm experiencing terror because I understand I am outside of the bounds of my reality.
I think the implication of the orphanage is that those are genetically modified tomatoes to become actors, and they are struggling with the fact.
Oh my God.
Much like a robot designed to do a task.
I can't with the tomatoes.
Of everyone, Roger is the most status quo character. He is the guy who every time he is like, so jumping back to episode 14, Dustin is asking, you've got this montage of just like people looking at him and asking questions. Dustin's like, was Big O waiting for you? Dustin should know about Big O. Norman says, it's likely that I've been serving you and Big O since long before we lost our memories. Timeline-wise, that doesn't work. Every time Roger is faced with the status quo being interrupted, he denies it and goes back to being Roger Negotiation. He has the line, if you keep calling me that name, I will be Roger Smith. He is weirdly in a show that becomes about character. Dustin, like I said, he squares off with the limitations of his own role within genre conventions. Alex tries to hijack the whole production. Gordon is a kind of failed producer to an extent who hands control back to the writer, to the director. Everyone in this whole show is bouncing around this metatextual level, and Roger's just like, no, I have a robot that I can punch things in, actually, and I'm very happy to do so. So I will not be having any of that higher literary theory. Thank you very much.
I think to talk about the timekeeping of it all, I really like because Roger's the only main character in Paradigm who keeps time besides Rosewater, and he is like, I have to keep this story going, while everybody's like, wait, this story doesn't make sense. And he's like, nope, just play it. Let's keep playing in the script, guys. Come on. We're doing the thing. Can we talk about the French mech, Bonaparte?
Yes, I was just about to say, have we talked about Bonaparte? This is my favorite mech in this season.
So this thing just floats in the air with repulsor technology. But guys, we just have magic mechs now, by the way. I love when French lady says, come Bonaparte. It's very
so
good.
Bad.
So it's got two heads. Love a two-headed robot. Drill arms for titties?
You know what? Why not?
I mean, I think they're just kind of like vestigial arms, but
I like when
they're
it turns
titties.
on its back and its feet just keep going like a toy. Like, it's got no way of it stands up off camera, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. Again, like, we're getting into real weird stuff. This reminded me a little bit, I mean, a husband of the pod, Kyle, would know better, but it reminded me a little bit of the like when robots show up in Godzilla and they're all like weird and deformed and they've got monstrous aspects, but they're supposed to be robots. But it's almost like the production designers only knew how to make monsters. That's what this one reminds me of. It's really interesting.
I just love the way it assembles itself. I love the way that we see it as these disembodied faces in the darkness before we see anything else. I hate that the lightning, the cool lightning ray that it has gets cheapened by the fact that we use the same shot and the same noise effect and the same ability with a different creature exactly one episode from now. But other than that, I think it's a really, it's weird and it's goofy, but it's so strong and it almost wins to the degree that like that makes it scarier to me.
I feel like it's undercut a little bit by the fact that Roger can just get out of Big O. Big O can be like, you know what? No, actually, I can deal with another episode of this. You go do your thing. I'm gonna lie on the floor, and Bonaparte's gonna go at me, and I will be absolutely fine.
Yeah,
Big O.
the structural integrity of Big O, I think, is threatened much more in this season than it ever has been before. But it's also deeply variable. Like we see a whole like reconstructing Big O kind of arc happen at the end of this show, but also there are multiple times where it's like, is this gonna destroy Big O? Nah, Big O's good to hang out. You go have your plot, dude. Like it's all over the place. But that's Mechs.
I do love that during this fight, Big O moments of all time, it's getting pounded, it's getting drilled, and he's like, I'm just gonna pump some smoke and you can just jump out and go do a whole side story. I'll be here. Smoke. Big O, always there to be like, I can wait for you to finish your doing. No fear he's going to be destroyed. Big O as a character in this is thriving.
And again, there's an interesting thing if we want to get really meta and give the writers a ton of credit. It's like, well, Big O is a plot contrivance anyway, so why shouldn't Big O be able to just hang out while we do this other story beat?
To really circle around previously, when we were talking about the Angel episode, you were talking about, God now exists. And I think, obviously, the word Megadeus, mega god. Big O is the god of this world, and as we see later, effectively the Megadeuses are the gods of this world. And when you an interview with the director, he said like, yeah, we made the robots first to try and pitch it to toy companies. Like the whole reason this show exists is because of these big robots. I think Big O in its own way is the most laissez-faire like god of anything ever. But it is in charge. And this is the first time, I think Roger says something like, Big O, it's always been me telling you what to do, but now you're telling me what to do. Big O's like, yeah, dog, go. You've got a story to do.
You want to talk about a Deus Ex Machina. a literal god in the machine, but also in the sense of a plot contrivance, in the sense of something that makes it possible to recover from something that should be unrecoverable. It's yeah.
We should talk about Big Fow as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
Big Fow.
do you guys like the big black robot or the big white robot?
I think this
These
is
are
hey,
themes.
in the dub, I just want to say, Nico missed this because she didn't watch the dub. In the dub, at one point, Beck says, "I hate the black guy and I hate the white guy."
You know what?
I loved it.
And that's powerful.
See, this is why you say when Beck is the worst villain, I can't listen to you because he's post-racial. He's there. He's doing it.
Beck doesn't see color.
The official stance of the OSG podcast is that Beck is post-racial. I mean, he did get electrocuted to have an afro for a minute, so like...
Got me there.
He's
This
lived
is
both
great.
sides of the experience. Both meaningful sides of the experience. He's done it.
Ryan, can you get us? We got to get to the meat of it. We've got to talk about it. We got to get into the ending.
Well, no, I want to talk about Big Fow, though, because this is a mech show, and we haven't talked about Big Fow, like, at all.
Alex Rosewater has been trying to construct a kit-bashed robot from all the parts that they've dug up in the desert.
Why? Because I have a headcanon, Joe.
The overseas mechs having the parts of Big Fow inside of them is insane, right?
It's crazy. It's like a transportation mechanism. Like... There's a shot we see in, I think, episode 14 when they've been damaged where you can see parts that better resemble Big O inside the damaged Megadeuses from abroad. And now we're seeing the payoff, which is that those were components of Big Fow.
Big Fow is obviously this kind of inverse of Big O. Like, Big O is black, Big Fow is white. Big Fow, Alex uses it and operates mainly off the cannons and things, and like everything launches whilst
Stands there. He does not move and punch.
Big O's main ability is just to be the heaviest thing in any given situation and utilize that.
There's a very funny shot I wanted a screenshot of, but I didn't get it, where Big O has Big Fow by the shoulders, and it looks like he's going, bro. And I didn't get the screenshot, but it's so funny.
But with Alex and Roger, so they are, again, like this kind of really overt parallel with each other. Alex has the white suit, Roger has the black suit. But there's the scene in the villa where Alex is sat in the shadow and Roger is sat in the sunlight. It's just, there's a title card, which I think it's like episode 21, whatever. The third big, it's red.
It's white with red text,
which are Alex's colors, and it's like this is the point at which Alex really begins hijacking the show. And like outside of all the other stuff the show does, I do quite enjoy its utter disdain for nepo babies. Because Alex goes from this kind of like this threatening overseer to like, I'm at the dinner table playing with toys and I'm going to get my man butler to replace the bat. He has an absolute tantrum when Big Fowl stops doing what he wants, and he sounds like a child. He is banging his fists. He's being
I want to get out.
And there's the bit where was like, oh, Dad, you never hug me, which does kind of suck. I'll give him that one. But it's like, so I will have to set everything you have ever done on fire and leave you to die. And then later he has a line where he's like, I'm going to use my hands to start this new era. And it's like, dog, you are just taking what your father has done, shaking off the bits you don't like, and thinking you are the coolest dude in the room. He's like, well, I'm the one true Dominus. And it's like, no, man.
And Big Fow will not recognize him without them fucking with how Big Fow works.
Yeah.
I like the way that Big Fow is. When you said kind of shaking off the parts you don't like, there's so much to Big Fow that is built in direct opposition to Big O by Alex, and in that way is also built by Big O. And I think that's really interesting. I love that it has a toy. I think that's huge points for it. What I really don't like about it are those weird fucking the laser things. I think they look like nothing like else on the mech. They look terrible to me. I hate that he uses them so much. It has the coolest big arms ever, and it doesn't do much with them. That stuff doesn't work for me, but as it cuts a silhouette, I think it looks amazing. So That's just what I think about that. Should we talk about part 4?
I love the color scheme. I also love that they shoehorned themselves into having to have Big Fow be a big important character because of one scene in episode 13 at the end where they have the 3 bigs marching, and they were obviously being like, oh, and there's a third one, and then like they had to figure out what the answer to that was in this season.
Yeah, when you view the hypothetical apocalypse, they're like, oh, we did say there was a third one of these.
Yeah, again, that's where again it feels like a fan work where it's like, okay, I remember this from this episode. This is a fruitful gap where I can insert an idea. And it's like, I understand the impulse to do that, but also sometimes it is very tiring when you grab every gap you can find. So, the fight with Big Duo, is that part 3 or part 4? Because that's the one where Alan Gabriel.
It's part 4.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah. Part 4, every character goes sicko mode, everything is a lie. Actually, to quote Schwartzwald from the beginning, giant robots run amok and everything is a lie.
Yeah. Thanks, Schwartzwald.
Yeah. The end.
I need to talk about the Big Duo stuff with Alan Gabriel, because Alan Gabriel comes in as a new pilot for Big Duo, and we are getting into some serious Escaflowne territory in terms of we've got tubes going into bodies so that you can pilot.
We've got tubes.
It's Alan Gabriel.
He's spaghettied in there.
He's been spaghettified. Yeah.
This did awaken a fetish in me.
Yeah, he's like fully wired in. Again, you're in the shell moments. It's like we're getting transhuman with Alan Gabriel in a way that we really haven't before in this show. He is merging with the robot. Unfortunately, it's a bad idea to merge with a robot that is also haunted. Because all I can think is that Schwartzwald is literally haunting Big Duo.
No.
And I am obsessed with it.
Schwartzwald is haunting this show.
Yeah,
I think.
But Big Duo specifically. I love the idea that his ghost is everywhere in the show. His presence is everywhere in the show. His literal ghost is in Big Duo.
I mean, Roger says, who could be piloting it? And then he hears Schwartzwald's laugh, and it's like, you have been told Schwartzwald has been dead. And this
Everything
guy is
reminds
still
me of him.
living with you. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and then if you look at like any like off script material, any summary material, like everyone's basically explicitly saying that Schwartzwald haunts the cockpit of Big Duo.
So good.
Because I mean,
we have not. This, I feel like, is territory we have not explored enough. The idea of the mech, which is haunted by a former pilot which died in it. I feel like this is a trope I see posted about a lot, but I love to see it. I simply love to see it.
This is a character class in the Armorister Encore books. If you're a tabletop role-playing gamer and you are enjoying this idea, this is an entire character class. It's called the Revenant.
Brian Sovereign gets my ass again.
So this is also, we kind of completely get rid of the subplot rich versus poor at this point because we've got to deal with the whole soundstage of it all.
We've got to collapse the society.
We just get Alan Rosewater just being like, hey, how do you earn your daily bread? Do you labor? Do you feel the sweat of your brow? It feels good to earn your keep by just working. Maybe you should try that, son. And the son's like, I gotta burn all this shit down. And that's the end.
I've got to kill
and then we
all
also
of the
see
workers.
Roger is also a rich Nepo baby in another way, and it's like,
it's quite funny because Roger's like, I live outside the dome, actually. Yeah, in my converted bank. Don't worry about that. I live outside the dome.
Steel shutters and mounted turrets in case some gay little red spider robots attack. You never know when it's gonna happen.
And then when he attacks Big Fow directly, he's like, let me show you the wrath of the people. I was like, oh, okay, Roger's a friend of the proletariat. This is cool. We're doing cool things here.
Well, he experienced homelessness for about 15 minutes, which means that he is part of the proletariat now. It also suggests that during the period that I was homeless, it was because actually I should have been piloting a giant robot, but the narrative got confused. Hello.
Get it together.
Never forget Roger telling the saxophone guy to pull himself up by his bootstraps. You are not a hero of the people.
Oh my God. Between that and finding out later there are other people who play the saxophone, that guy has been disrespected.
Oh, God.
I like John's note here about episode 23 before we get too far into it, about the Union Air Fleet that appears and is just never discussed again.
We can just do anything we want forever.
So again, Gordon does say explicitly, like, you know, when Vera, her name is, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Vera.
When Vera's like, my comrades are on their way, and Gordon's just like, no, they don't exist, actually. And she's like, sorry, what? And he's like, yeah, we can just make stuff up whenever, can't we? And then she's like, no, and just jumps into a hole at the realization.
Me when I'm confronted with the narrative.
Yeah.
I love the idea. Okay, so we didn't talk about it, but Paradigm City is a video game map, because if you go to the north, there's the endless sea, and if you go to the south, there's the endless desert, and there's other shit, like, you can't go out bounds of this.
And the desert is just a seabed. There's a bunch of crashed ships in it. So, like,
who knows?
What are we even?
It's
well, the desert
whatever.
has also got like Coney Island in it. I think when you see Schwartzwald
yeah,
running
it does.
through it,
It does have Coney Island in it,
right?
It's bleep. I just want to say there is a really good shot during the bank invasion part where Roger saves Norman. Obviously, that's the move. You save Norman, and then Dorothy is kidnapped, and there's a shot where Roger is reaching up, and he also commands Big O to reach up to try to get her. And again, like Brian was talking about, there were some really good shots in the show. Not everything works for me. I think there's, like I said, a lot of like workman style animation that just serves its purpose and gets out of the way. This shot is beautifully done. It's just, I really had to be like, well, I got to give it to you. That one's really good.
I also love him being like, Dorothy, you can break out of that. Like, it's such like, of course he's calling it, but Dorothy's going through her own thing right now. I love that. It's just, it's such a good character thing.
I do think there's an interesting echo of Angel and Dorothy, as Angel has become the mechanism of the story, and Dorothy is a literal mechanism. And, like, that is something they're doing a lot with in the last half of this episode. It's just not as explicit as some other stuff that literally will get explained to you by, like, Dostin or Gordon Rosewater.
And speaking of Dostin, what's he doing? Bullying children.
God bless him.
Okay.
Price of Smiles, we're back. Point a gun at an orphan.
Fuck you having a cute date.
Me when the narrative is breaking down, I am shaking this boy on his date within an inch of his life, demanding him to explain the finer plot points of what's going on to me.
He's being depersonalized. Like, I get it.
I think Dastin confronting what is the new tomato versions of himself is, like, in a way, like, I think this is when the show officially, for me, jumped the shark of being like, oh, I can't actually, like, try and figure this out. It's just doing some weird shit, because, like, I could dig into that and what that means and, like, pull up Dostin's whole story with, like, the movie, and he's in a movie, and now there are other kids in the same movie, and, like, what is time or anything. It's so hilarious. To be like, okay, yeah, none of this really matters.
I can tell exactly what I had the same moment, because in my notes, I just wrote, period. I was just like, okay.
I mean, I think that the show is doing something interesting at this point, which is that with the narrative is dipping into the mythopoetic. Like, things have stopped being literal, and like within the show's diegesis, things have also stopped being literal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, reality is falling apart. And I think that this, I like that we're not going to get all the answers to, like, what, like, I don't care what it means that Dawson's in the movie theater. What's important is that we are being shown that the timeline is resetting. We are being shown that history is repeating itself. We are being shown that these people are characters in a production.
Yeah.
So all of that made me feel like there's kind of almost this perspective that Big O Season 2 is a failed production. The set is crumbling. The characters are out of line. Nothing makes sense.
Yep.
The writer has depression.
Relatable.
And they're just like, shut it down. Shut it down.
I think I actually have more sympathy for Big O Season 2 as a project if I look at it through that lens.
Yeah.
I like that. I just want to another kind of dub, or I guess I should say W for the sub is at this point, Alex is, I guess, under the impression that he's killed his dad, even though he just kind of lit things on fire and left.
When people are old, you never know.
He knocked out the guys in the field.
That's
Those guys
classic
were knocked
Nepo
out.
baby with no practical experience. He thinks he's
Right.
He's got a vague idea of how to do it. He's like, yeah, this will probably be enough.
So he's having his little monologues where he's talking to him dead dad and like saying all these things. In the dub, he's just saying dad. In the sub, in Japanese, he explicitly says papa, which I just think hits a little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the previously established childishness of him, that sounds like a deliberate choice by the dub to make him seem just a little bit more respectable. Otherwise, like they're like, oh, this villain is just a brat and nothing else.
Yes.
So to wrap up the Dastan plot, because I really love they just literally recast him. New Dastan shows up to take over the military police, and he's like, what are you doing? We have to help Big O. And they're like, nope, rewrite came through. We're helping Big Fow now. Sorry.
And he's like,
Sorry.
well, you know what? Time for me to become a good cop. I quit.
And then other good cops are like, we came with you. Immediately die.
Oh, yeah. So the thing about the military police is I kind of, like, obviously you've got the fundamental problematic nature of any law enforcement agency. I know, shocking. I will tell you more about it later, don't worry. So during season 1, what we see them doing, I actually felt was relatively, like, proactive. Like, there's a bomb threat. They are sweeping all the streets. They're sweeping the sewers. They're doing everything. Big O is doing shenanigans. They are clearing the streets. We never see them do anything sort of like overtly awful. And then even in season 2, you know, when the satellites come down, they're trying to like get everyone to go back. Dustin's there like going, please leave, you will die. But then there's the bit where they do when they're like, we're rounding up the French. You know, anyone born outside the city, they are on a list. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was a lot.
I was like, you guys almost had it. And then, like I said, they have this victorious moment of redemption and then get completely, like, erased within a second. I was okay.
I think it portrays the compromised position that they occupy, because we do see them get up to some such shit in season 1, but it's specifically like we're shown a police riot that again stops because one cop dies, which is again improbable.
One could be the best, the real good boy out there.
Like they wouldn't have dove in to start killing all those people if one cop had died.
I mean, that police officer, someone's son. You know, that's like,
you know, it's crazy. It's almost like everyone is somebody's child. And then the other thing we see is that the military police higher-ups that are targeted by that spirit in that episode are very blasé about slum clearance, basically. They're like, yeah, we should just, you know, kill them all, let God sort it out. And in the narrative of season 2, that's very literal in a way. But yeah, it is interesting that you point out that it's like the military police have gotten the rewrite because they literally take orders.
Yeah, I guess, like, when I was thinking of them, it was more the Oshkosh Brigade.
Yeah.
You know, everyone doing the sickest drifts in their front half of a military truck.
Oh, yeah.
They're the, you know.
They put howitzers on the back this time, and it was like, sure,
why not? That's how you know they're bad, because they've actually got, you know, big guns now.
Okay. There's a really cool moment in this where somebody is giving Angel a gun and is explaining to her that that's freedom.
Dustin.
Weapons is freedom. Yeah. He's like, no. The force, because he sees Big O as like a force of arms, like that gives you the freedom to defend the city. And like other people see power in different ways. But I was just like, yeah, you can just have a gun.
Yeah, I do think there's an interesting, I think there's an interesting conceptualization of freedom conflict between season 1, where Norman says the iconic, like, you know, you have the permission to dance in the rain, which to me is an assertion that freedom is people have the right to make choices that are not in their best interest. That is their right as a free human being, is to do that. This season seems much more interested in, like, how do you assert and protect your freedom by asserting your power as opposed to making choices that are detrimental to you. And I think those are two very different conceptualizations of freedom. I honestly feel like that is a cultural difference that is coming through, because the American conceptualism of freedom is strongly exceptional, individualistic and exceptional in a way that like the conceptualization of like anybody has the right to dance in the rain without an umbrella is I feel like that's in a different cultural milieu than we have. Can we talk about Big Duo exiting stage up and hitting a big light like a bug?
Exactly what I wanted to ask. Nico, what was your reaction when giant skylights came into the equation?
And Big Duo smashed into them like a bug hitting a big hot light? Yeah, no, I was just going to say, my notes above are bro? ? And that is how I feel for a lot of there are many times where I just type, what the fuck is happening? This is also the run of episodes where I type the sentence, damn dude, I also think images are cool. I had lost the plot at this point.
Man, I'm sorry to you. Go ahead, John.
As someone who knew what was coming with Big Duo and was watching it with someone, I was like, oh, this is cool. Hang on. And he flies off. And the next episode, he's still flying. I'm like, okay.
It takes 3 episodes.
I'm like, so for me, it just became this running gag bit. And I was like, oh, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. And then eventually, Schwarzwald's like, Big Duo dumps Alan Gabriel out of the cockpit and is like, anyway, I'm done here. And just blasts himself on a stage light. And I was like, what I said about Big O being the god of the world, a Megadeus. Big Duo is also a Megadeus who, at points, we see... So, Big Duo rejects Schwarzwald when his role is done. Big Duo, he's like, well, I've lost a Big O. Okay, everyone go home. Big Duo in this is like, yeah, okay, we're actually done with you here, Alan Gabriel, so get gone. And he's like, well, I don't actually have place in this narrative anymore. So, Big Duo died on the way back to his home planet.
I agree that some of this might come across as cornball. It just hit for me. The visual of the sort of Union fleet being struts that you can just see between the clouds. Mm-hmm. The revelation that Gordon literally says like it's not real as you realize that the bombs are falling stage lights. Like I think that visual is so potent. I think it rules so hard that like I'm basically willing to excuse the whole like. I mean, I don't know. I like the Big Duo flying into a stage light thing. What made me laugh was the literal angel wings and like some of that imagery stuff that was going on later.
I loved it.
I think my note is like, I can't believe I forgot to mention Diogenes yet, because they keep saying like, oh, an angel whose wings are plucked will return to the creature it was before it was. It's a bird whose wings are plucked. And I just kept thinking like, oh, featherless biped. I was like, were they doing this on? Did they know, or did they just independently rediscover satirical philosophy? Like, what happened here? What are we doing?
Satirical philosophy from first principles via anime.
Yeah, exactly.
The other moment, which is kind of an extended scene that I really want Nico's thoughts on for a first reaction, is when they go into the basement and they go through the same hallway that Psychic shocked Roger, and she comes out onto an actual soundstage that has about 5 different eras of camera, and you realize that the cabin that we've seen, and they even call back to season 1 cabin, because that's the same cabin, just chairs on the side. What were your reactions to this and the following whip scene? And then the following disappearing of the set scene. In that order.
It was just very much the show, just like, the thing is, the show, I don't think it's been subtle with laying its themes on the table. And like, watching this as like a teenager, like I remember being like, well, I don't know what's going on. And then watching it as like an adult with some media awareness now, I'm like, oh yeah, they're doing a thing. Okay, cool. And it's just they're just very much like, in case you have not understood what we are doing here, Angel's Pass was produced on a soundstage.
Whoa.
You get it? Yeah. And like, I love the imagery, like when she's resting on the television and it keeps pulling out screen by screen.
I love that shot.
Exceptional.
That shot is so good.
The whip thing, Nico, I think you're right. That was someone's like, what if Gordon sees her wings because her clothes get... It's okay, you can have this one, guy. You've probably done enough good work that you get this now.
That could have been done with one whip crack, considering her clothing seems to be made of paper. That's what I meant when I said this is for someone, because that was like so lovingly animated and focused on. And then they move on and it like serves its plot purpose, but I was like, okay.
Nico, one of the images Nico posted on the mood board was like the "It's so over, we're so back" graph. I was mostly We're So Back, but a lot of the with this earlier stuff in this episode, I like a lot of the visuals here. When we start like literally decomposing like the whole world in front, like that's when it starts to lose me a little bit. But I do really, for a moment there, I was thinking like, are the angel wings? Has Vera done this to her before? Are those scars other whip scars? The answer is no. We're just doing that to do it. But for a minute there, they had me.
They had you in the first half.
I love when magic is just science fiction that we don't understand yet. And that the precursor technology at play here is so ridiculously overwrought that, like, Gordon holds up a book and is like, ancient gods, write the next page. And, like, some shit's happening with nanomachines. Yeah. And, like, I just love the idea that, like, it's not actually magic. It's just such lost technology, and they're just redoing the play over and over. I don't know. This is a fun show for me. I like when she gets the angel wings. I'm like, good for her. Good for her. I love this.
It's what she deserves.
It's what she deserves. Mechs of it all. The Big O, Big Fow, Throwdown, fuck fight.
This is when the grabbing Big Fow by the shoulders to do a vibe check happens.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I can't believe they revealed Big O was bald. That was a shock.
Yeah.
Hairpiece.
He's got a hairpiece. I like the reveal that Big Fow's arms are like a fuselage for its fists to be shot like missiles.
Hey, what was the plan there? Like, honestly, like
no idea.
What if they
Could
dodge?
not tell you.
What if they just moved to the left?
That's always the question of rocket arms. Like, sorry, it just always is. You just gotta believe in the magic.
Like, it's so Alex to be like, yeah, this looks really cool, and it's just the dumbest shit in the world. Like, you can see his little robot probably has those. You like turn it up and you like push little plungers and it shoots them out. And he's like, yeah, this is so cool. Can we talk about the ending? Can we talk about Big Venus?
Some of the greatest composition in this entire show is the entrance of Big Venus. I will say the Big Fow's shadow just suddenly rearing up and becoming like bigger than any of the other Megadeuses, and then kind of like materializing into this like scary looking John, you mentioned the cover of the movie Metropolis. Like,
yeah, so we see her shadow sort of like flare upwards. And out, and we do see her before the world starts getting erased, because there's a scene where Roger's having a moment, where we see lots of alternate pasts. Mm-hmm, like, when you've got like the whole Big O Brigade versus the Leviathan and they're all dead, and that ends, and then we see, Angel flare up, and then we see a dead Roger, and then Angel flares up, and we see this production line Rogers, and then Angel flares up. It's this real cool kind of imagery of just this creator stepping in and going, no, this is no good, sack it off.
Wait. As far as Mechs go, have we discussed the Big O? Did I miss a trick? Because I understood the assertion that Alex Rosewater makes when Big O opens its torso and reveals the biggest cannon, and Alex Rosewater says the Big O. That the Big O had a cannon inside of it called the Big O that we are only just now seeing.
Yeah,
that makes a Big O.
Yeah.
Bro, this is my letter of...
Nico, you just don't like Super Robot, and I guess that's okay.
I know. I like when the robots are haunted.
You don't play all your cards.
I like when the robots are haunted. This. I like when the robots have tubes. I don't like when the robot has the Big O.
Well, okay, but you just had like a whole scene where trade guys were fixing it.
The arm cannon that fires when it's done firing also makes an O. I was a little over it, I'll be honest with you. But that's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry, but sometimes things are just shapes. Like, you can't... Like, you're gonna have to grow up a little bit. I'm
round?
Sorry. Like,
so close. That is a shape.
Why is a gun barrel round?
No, I'll give it to y'all. I'm a little hater.
Roger does screw up in the biggest possible way at the most essential moment of the traditional narrative. It's like, right, this is where you deal with this guy. You take him out. And then he misses.
Yeah.
And Alex is just like, good job, idiot. And then it takes, like, again, Deus Ex Machina to deal with the problem.
I read that. I initially had a terrible read on that, which is that Roger like just kind of didn't want to do the killing blow, but I don't think that really works either. It's a little bit of a mess there.
Well, he never kills the pilot. I will say, I think one of the good themes of Big O is like, we very much hand wave exactly how many hundreds of thousands of people die in the lights falling. But also, everyone is in a simulation, so who cares? They're all NPCs, right? They're all just spawned in. I like that reading that he is not going for he only kills actual monsters when they have a pilot. Like, he never kills Beck. He could have killed Beck, and we would never have Beck again, but he's not the guy.
And we would have never had episode 18. And why didn't you do it, Roger? Pull the trigger, Roger.
So Big Venus just walks forward.
Pull the trigger, Roger.
I think this is where, because at first you're like, okay, we're in New York. They built a giant soundstage with lighting rigs on top of it. Russian satellites can still get through, so it's not covered. It's not one giant dome, which was my first thought. And also there's like 600 layers of basements you can go under. Big Venus proposes that we have always just been on the Star Trek holodeck. Just a very big mech-sized holodeck. You get like Roger and the Big O before Dorothy saves him in the cutest little moment of just crushing an air tank, where he's going down and there's gigantic gears down there. It's a giant soundstage. What are we doing?
That's not good for your gears. I gotta say that. That's a lot of saline. On the other hand, it's a lot of sand. Yeah, it's not good.
That's salt water. Yeah.
Sorry.
And then Venus touches everything and it disappears. And she says, "Hello, Big O. I have tits as a robot. Do you want to reset the timeline with me?" And
I will say the ending plea that Roger makes to Angel is strong writing. I feel like that's some of the stronger writing that we've seen in this run of episodes. It's good.
The fact we get exactly like 10 frames of Angel not even showing her face in a production booth, like freaking out, and Roger just puts his hand on her shoulder in the production booth and Dorothy is there. Fuck. So good.
What I also love
molecule now
is
sorry, go ahead, John.
Angel is wearing her costume from her first disguise in episode her Casey Jenkins outfit. So she has come full circle, just being this woman in this sharp suit who appears, and it's like, did she step from the writer's role into that role? Are we in like a cyclical event here? Is it because again with that 5-year span, the writer is revisiting the previous work. Is that what's happening here? Angel has returned. I
like to think anytime a property is rebooted, all of this drama happens. We don't see it, but anytime they reboot a DC comic, anytime they reboot a movie, all of this happens, and then we get the reboot.
We also get the plot of...
Nico, you gotta read Animal Man.
I know.
The plot of Dorothy, quote unquote, losing the memories. They take out her disk drive. They put her into rest for a while. I enjoy this in the way that the show keeps trying to reinterrogate what memories are to the characters in it, and how Dorothy remembers Roger even without that as like an innate part of her being. I think is really cool.
Visual element of that piece that was pulled out of her being plugged into Big Fow, and it's like a visor looking thing, and then when he like commits himself to being absorbed by Big Fow, it flips and becomes an hourglass. That was cool visually.
It's
gotta
banger.
give it to you.
Banger.
I did like, so the whole Dorothy plotline. So Beck is released from prison on Alex Rosewater's, power. And he
this is when we get
job.
the owie.
And so Beck turns down the job. He's like, no, man, I've done this before. This is boring. And then it's like,
why are we doing the same bit?
Yeah, Beck says, like, I don't repeat crimes. It was funny.
And then it's like, we will kill you. And he's like, okay, fine. But, when Roger storms out of his bank after, like, he's lost Dorothy, or before he goes, whichever, Beck is there. And it's like, hey, how's it going? Like, completely nonchalant. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry I have to do this. I'm just kind of obligated. I don't think it's cool either. And,
Brad Pitt, Matt Damon vibes, if I'm being honest.
And, that scene where he's on the rooftop and he sees, like, Big O reappear and he starts clapping with his shoes.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I love how, again, Beck is a character who knows he's a character, but as a character, he's got this pride in his performance. He's like, I don't want to do what I've done before. It's boring. It's dull. It sucks. And then Alex forces him to anyway. And so when he gets the, potential to sabotage it, he goes for it. He's there. It's, I love my boy. Love my boy.
Anyway, so it's a Garden of Eden metaphor, the whole thing, right? Or is it a Wizard of Oz metaphor, or is it a metaphor for this, or is it a metaphor for that, or what metaphor?
No, we keep trying to pigeonhole it into like, what is this thing? What is the one answer? And I think like the show really, really resists that in a way that I actually really like.
I think the struggle is that this is a season of the show that very badly wants to explain a lot of things, and that at the end it presents you with a situation that kind of defies explanation and tries to do what you're saying, Brian, which is ask you not to insist on pigeonholing it, insist on explaining it. It's frustrating for me because it feels like so much of the season was interested in explaining the first season.
I completely agree with you. Like, particularly the Hydra episode, which we didn't. Well, you guys might have talked about, but I wasn't there for that.
They brought the electric eel back. Now it's 3 eels.
Oh, but it's 3.
It's 3 eels now.
No, I agree with that.
So I think that tension comes back to the Cartoon Network mandate of, explain the mystery.
Yeah.
And I feel like they were like, we didn't really want to, but we're kind of here and we have to do that. And I agree with you, Brian. I think Big O isn't a show that's trying to say one particular thing. It's not a show that is laid out like, here is my thesis, here is my point, here is my arguments, here we are. I think Big O is a show that's like, we've got thoughts. Here's the staging you will need to understand what we are saying. Big O is a conversation between the creator, the creation, and outside forces and how they act upon the creation. And I think it's very messy because it's not something that's working to a defined resolution. I feel it's something that up until the very last moment, and with any creative endeavor, up until the last moment, it's a miracle anything happens. Everything is a mess. Everything is a struggle. Everything falls apart, but people pull through, they make the thing, and it happens. And from an outside perspective, you don't see that. And I feel that Big O is very much kind of like pointing out, God, this is hard. This is messy. This is difficult. But here's what it means to be a writer. Here's what it means to be a producer. Here's what it kind of means to be all of these things. And here's things that can happen to you. It's not making a statement and then going, therefore. It's just saying, this is what it is. And at the end of the day, everything gets wiped away. The stage is clear for the next thing to happen.
Yeah, I will say I struggled a little bit with just like replayed the last 2 minutes of the first episode of Big O at the end. Not the least of which because then you see the major discrepancy between the animation style. I think they boiled the frog a little bit throughout season 2 in terms of making the transition from the art of season 1 to the art of season 2. You unboil the frog the moment that you just drop a clean cut at the end of the show and you see that contrast. I struggled with that a little bit, but I'm willing to accept that it is what it is. It's just not my kind of thing.
I've got a very generous read on that final scene, and that is obviously in universe the stage is being wiped clean. We are done. We are in the final 3 minutes of the show. Shut it down. And then at the Roger makes his speech to Angel, which is effectively like, look, actually I am like finally cognizant of the fact that I'm a fictional character. But I have experiences. I've done this. We've been through this together. We've impacted each other. Don't just wipe that all away. So when the show resets, because it's basically, it almost feels like the creator saying, look, gang, I can't keep doing this. We're done here. But you know what happens? Reruns, DVDs.
Yeah.
You can always watch
I like
it.
that reading a lot.
People will be watching this in 2025. You can start again. You will be in this cycle. That is just your nature. Like, that's, again, getting a bit like very like woo-woo into the metatextual of it.
Again, like you said,
I really like that reading.
It's a charitable reading, but I actually appreciate that more than what my reading was, which is just, because I went through a lot of creative writing courses where people were like, how do I end a story? Cyclical narrative. And they like didn't have another move. I appreciate that more from that perspective. I'm glad we had you on. Like, we would have been happy to have you on anyway, but this was a really good read on that.
I agree.
Thanks, Alice.
All right. What are we thinking? Any final thoughts here?
I do have a final thought that I didn't get to mention anywhere else. Big Ear is revealed to be an android when the bar is destroyed.
Yes.
Very small W. I love to see a character who is indispensable to the narrative be revealed to be a robot, especially when robots are an oppression allegory. I just love to see robots winning. Unfortunately, he was destroyed, but we'll see him again.
I felt like, again, that was a narrative embrace of Big Ear was a plot device all along.
Mm-hmm.
Like he reuses his line from episode 2, where he's like, "Don't you have a damsel in distress to be saving?" And originally he says that about Dorothy, I think, but then in this he's obviously saying it about, the whole kind of universe.
Oh, also, I almost forgot. How do we feel about the parallel drawn between Angel's scars and where the Big O's kind of insert their cables when they absorb hosts? To me, after the fact, it read like she had been forcibly separated from Venus.
Yes.
And that was how she
interesting.
was in the story.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because
I like
there's
that.
literally a shot-to-shot cut of her back, after the whipping scene when it's exposed, and then a cut to Alex Rosewater as Big Fowl enters his body with those cables, and it's in the same place.
Yes. So I kind of I read that as going back to the bigs being the gods of this world, the reason it exists. I read that as whoever the pilot is then at that point subsumed to the will of the god, and Angel is kind of separate from that because she does not. Despite the fact that we see she has this immense control, she wants to engage with the fiction on its own level. So she has detached herself from that role. So it's almost like she is a creative who has given up this control to be able to immerse herself more deeply in it. And Roger is the perpetual status quo. When Big O is like, "We're going to do this, bud," Roger's like, "No, I am Roger Smith. That is my role. I was never meant to be anything more. And like, I'm going to deny that." That was kind of like...
And that to me speaks to, if they're getting at anything about like who is the true Dominus, the rejection kind of speaks to that.
Dominus.
Whatever you want to say. I just want to say...
Dominus of Sabamus.
I have enjoyed this discussion so much. It makes me very grateful for the podcast we do, because it made me feel better about what I watched. So...
my two final thoughts on this are the fact that Dorothy... crushes an air tank that Norman gave her to expel the water out of the cockpit, which, honorable mention, mech pilot moments of all time, being in your cockpit while your mech is underwater and just coming to terms with your own death.
Big O is God.
Great mech trope.
Big O is God, but Big O is not watertight.
No,
that's right.
I really like that too, because a lot of the time when we see like I just to evoke something we have watched recently, like in G-Quux, like when we see the G-Quux on the ocean bed, like those are spacefaring mechs, and so of course they're watertight. Mm-hmm. I like when it's not watertight, and I like when there's like actually a peril to, like, there are several moments where Big O almost gets thrown in the ocean, and that is like a legitimate threat. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
It's no Guppy
so like
from
that.
G Savior. It's not ready to be underwater.
No Guppy from G Savior. I love this podcast.
I love how when he resurfaces, he uses his pistons to shoot himself out.
Yes.
And he pops out of the water, and it's like a little rubber duck that you push down. Yeah. It's just still to the end. He's just a goofy big robot.
I need the Big O rubber duck.
I like in that scene where Dorothy, where he's just like, "You could have given me mouth to mouth," and she's like, "No, that would be very inefficient." And I think that that's like the perfect way to kind of cap off their relationship of what their dynamic is.
She calls him a louse again too.
Yes. Anytime she drops the louse line, I'm like, hell yeah, brother, let's do it. Best girl ever.
In the dub, he delivers that very sheepishly. He's like, "Oh, that could have been mouth to mouth, you know?" And she's like, "No, it couldn't."
Absolutely not. I'm rejecting my space in the narrative. I'm here with scuba gear.
She's like there's earlier, she's like, don't you love me? And she's like, "I was just trying to make light of the situation." Like,
yeah,
haha, got you, you're embarrassed.
She's going, haha, JK, you know.
And then my last thing is we didn't talk really about it, but the red robots that attack the bank, Norman 1v1s them with explosive giant shelled rounds. He has a mounted anti-tank gun. I just love when a single person can fight an army of mechs, and he is doing great at layered defense. And then he runs out of ammo, and he's like, "Oh dear, I've run out of ammo."
Okay.
And Dorothy's like, "I got a bucket of bullets for you, hey boss."
Who wore it better? Dorothy with a bucket of bullets, or Johnny with a duffel bag full of clips at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4?
Dorothy.
It's Dorothy, right?
Dorothy.
Dorothy it's consistent with the maid aesthetic as well, because it's just in a clean bucket, basically.
Yeah, clean bucket.
I love them.
That's it. Those are my two final thoughts.
Okay.
I love Dorothy so much, guys.
Yeah.
Having rewatched Big O recently as a creator, I think Big O has had a long sort of history of the Western perception, at least, of being, what was that ending? What happened? I don't understand. I think it's been a victim of coming out during a time when media literacy was not as developed as it is now within the anime community. I think having rewatched it, it does, especially, within a span of a few days, it does really benefit from, it does lay all its cards on the table. It does very clearly explain to you what's happening. And, that may be something you wouldn't get as a week-to-week viewer. I think it's really interesting how, as a work of fiction, it jettisons any sort of benefit it may have as a work of fiction by abandoning stuff like a traditional ending to make a point, by abandoning all the expected sort of character roles to make a point. I think it's very interesting as a work of fiction in that it sets itself up as something that cannot exist as a work of fiction because it does not have that conceit of a reality, because it overtly states its reality is just fiction. Because I've read a lot of, views where people are like, oh, it's a post-humanity management project, or, oh, it's, a post-apocalypse thing to sort of reseed the earth. They keep resetting because it doesn't work. And I just think, no, I think it doesn't leave any sort of, real opportunity to kind of treat it like something that can exist consistently within itself. It just overtly states that it is fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really interesting. I think it is kind of, I don't know if it's a shame or if it's really interesting just as a quirk of production, as an artifact, about the implicit hostility, because I would have loved everyone who's making stuff to have a great time. And the theme of this foreigners as a threat of things being hijacked, I felt that sort of ran really strongly throughout the second season.
Are you a threat to this podcast, John?
Oh yeah. I'm going to be seizing this, and you are not going to like my demands.
Wait, will there only be 3 hosts after this? No.
I'm bringing the French in to deal with you.
It also suggests that episode 18 was almost is this how you see us kind of maneuver, rather than what the fuck is this random thing?
That's 100% what I thought it was doing.
Very
I just
much what
still
I thought
didn't like
doing.
it.
Yeah. All right.
Much like coming out of or actually, I guess I should say, to reinforce how I felt when I came out of the final Evangelion rebuild film, I am an end of Evangelion defender. I think that both of these endings are doing very similar things, although I think Big O actually kind of does it better for me. And I like this ending a lot. The rebuild films can ultimately go fuck themselves, and that's my final thought.
Brian. Counterpoint, the rebuild films had a really good track from Utada Hikaru. Can you please comment on that?
Counterpoint.
We have to do something
films,
important.
No, we don't.
The counterpoint. The rebuild films try to do the soundstage thing that this show does, but do it way fucking worse, and it looks like shit.
Okay. Alice.
We have to do a very important thing. Alice, what is it?
We have to rate these goddamn bigs.
Okay, Alice, what's your rating?
10 out of 10. I love Big O. Big O as a mech is just one of the coolest fucking mechs out there. Every bit of his drawing, I love that we see people actually working on him this time. His face mask is removed. He has different damage in every fucking scene. He got more weapons now, and he's just there in a way that I wish my father was there for me, But Big O, like my dad, is there for me. The rest of them are all...
What?
The rest of them are all, different notes. I love the fucking, to include season 1, because this is our full score. The fucking toy robot attacking a fucking amusement park is Mechs of all time to me. Strapping Dorothy into the face of Dorothy 1 is Mechs to me. Dorothy herself is Mechs to me. This is a 10 out of 10. I love this fucking shit. I want toys from this. When Roger is on screen and he says, Big O, it is time to show yourself. I think that's what it was.
That's what he says. That's what he says.
Oh, it is time to show yourself.
All right, Nico, what are your thoughts here?
I've got a 6 for you.
Okay.
I've got a 6 for you. I'm not a Super Robo fan. I'm not a Super Robot fan. I struggled with Giant Robo. I do think I have more affection for Big O as this like inscrutable like creation that is also creator and also is like this hinge point of the show. I will say season 2 I struggled with narratively, but I enjoyed mechanically a lot more because we see some real freak robots. We see a lot of them.
Yeah.
We even see like little weird scorpion invasion robots. We see a lot of mechanical design. Honestly, to like no purpose. Honestly, if we wanted to go real OSG freak mode, like get back into the watch as a mech thing, Soundstage is kind of a mech. It's definitely piloted.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of interesting mechanical stuff here, but as exemplified by me going, there's a cannon in it called the Big O in tones of absolute disgust. It's not 100% my genre, but I do think it is cool for all the reasons that Alice said. It's just not my kind of cool. So that's a 6 from me.
All right. John, what do you got?
Big O makes me want to hold my biceps out at 90 degrees from my chest and hold my forearms out and then just wander around my house doing this. And I don't think any other mecha has ever physically influenced me to that degree. So Big O itself gets a 10 out of 10. In general, I'd give it like 8 out of 10 because I like it's clearly guys going, really love this stuff. Let's turn it into anime. Everything is the toyetic nature, the tokusatsu nature. This could be shot through time G-Quack style and inadvertently create its own like toku show in the 80s, and I would kill to watch someone in a big duo costume being suspended by wires and swung around. As this like genre kind of transcending imagery, I love it. Like some of them I'm not so like. The Leviathan feels very much like Quick Steel Mecha Godzilla. They're not like perfect, but yeah, 8 out of 10 I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 10 from me. I pretty much already said this was a 10 during the Giant Robo episode. I knew it was going to be a 10 before I even started watching again. I just think like the Big O, the cockpit is like an all-timer cockpit. That's like probably my favorite.
I will say
you can cross your arms like you're a straight edge kid.
That's a good cockpit.
The only cockpit I can pull from my memory that might be better than that is the Type of the End cockpit from Eureka 7. But
weird. I would have said the RGM 78 ground type as seen in 08th MS team, but I'm a pervert.
Weird. I would have said the Titanfall VR.
Yeah, but I like when mechs are weird. I like when you pilot your mech by dangling from your arms from this apparatus that has a bunch of eyeballs on it.
I cannot wait to watch this.
Big O's cockpit does not grant you the certainty of inevitable geometries, though.
That's true. Well, it sort of does. Dorothy's always tucked under his arm.
Dorothy makes it happen.
It's very big. There's a lot of space. She can stand off to the side.
John is right. Alice, Dorothy makes it happen. That's not a certain inevitable geometry. That is an evitable geometry.
That's her fulfilling her role in the production.
Dorothy would claim it was a certain inevitable geometry, even if Roger was like, "You can stand over there," and she'd be like, "No, I had to be here." There basically is not a robot I don't like in this whole show. The only one that gets a true L is the Behemoth because it gets defeated off screen. And that sucks. I wanted to see that thing move around. Even the golden mech?
It's that big golden mech that Vera like commits suicide into. It's so weird. I don't know.
Yeah, Big O is holding it for 2 seconds and then presumably just goes, nope, and just like dunk. I like to imagine the way he's holding, he dunk and it's ball shaped. I like to think he just dunks it somewhere and then he's just done.
Big O can hoop.
So I'm just confirming that you did enjoy the Beck Deluxe. I'm getting that confirmation on podcast.
Confirmation is coming in that Brian enjoyed the Big Deluxe. The Beck Deluxe.
The Beck Getter Robo. The Beck GX RX3 or whatever the hell. The one from this season I didn't particularly enjoy, I gotta say, but otherwise, yeah, like I don't know. We've talked about it through both episodes. Like everything the show is doing with mechs is just phenomenal to me. It's a 10. There's just nothing else to be said from me there. Let's take a quick break and then we're gonna play a very, very quick game because Brian's on vacation and didn't put much effort into this. So
it's also like midnight where John is.
Hey guys, Alice here. Thanks for listening to On the Shoulders of Giants. We're really happy you're here, but if you know anybody who might be interested, we'd love if you share our work with them. If you are enjoying what we're doing, maybe send us a message, or what would really help us out is if you leave a review online. Really, a lot of the algorithms will push people down if they don't have reviews, so it really helps if you just go and write something on the internet. Heck, we might even read one on the podcast if it's really nice and makes our hearts go doki doki. So if you could do that, maybe do it, and thanks again for listening. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back from the break. We're going to play a quick game that I did not make. The good folks over at www.paradigm-city.com made this quiz.
Yes!
Holy shit!
Called
Shout out,
Paradigm City?
Called Which Big O Character Are You? There are 13 questions. We're going to find out, just like the Rising episode, Metal Gear Rising episode, we're just going to find out what character OSG is.
John, you're in on this.
With the augment.
OSG plus John.
With the augment of John.
I'm just going to kind of read these and we'll just kind of figure out what the answers are. All right. The first question is, and we're starting really, really deep and philosophical here. So everybody strap in.
It's that kind of quiz.
Question 1, which of these is your favorite color?
Oh, hell yeah.
Whoa.
All right, the options are black, brown, gold, pink, red, or green.
Ooh.
What are we thinking?
If you want to work in this podcast, you got to wear black.
I would say we're a podcast generally in favor of black, but I would also put in a strong...
We're generally in favor of black. That's the official OSG stance.
Racial politics. We're post-racial here. I would also put in a motion for gold, but I could, because of we award Hyakushikis.
Hyakushiki, okay.
But
my instinct was pink because we're just in terms of the branding that we have, we're a very pink podcast.
I think Alice brings in a very strong vibe, which does
what do you mean?
Spread out across my perception of the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I am the pink mist that obscures OSG.
We're popping smoke, but it's just Alice's pink mist.
I'm down with pink. I could see us
I'm down with pink because of the branding. I think you made a strong argument, Brian.
Yeah.
Also the vibes.
All right. Question 2. People you're close to would most likely describe you. Actually, for this one, I'm going to say John gets to answer this one, and none of us get to answer this one. People you're close to would most likely describe you as curious, dependable, serious, goofy, independent, or secretive.
No one has ever heard an episode of OSG Pod.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to go with goofy.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Thank you.
I think that's very true.
First off, thank you. We are the clowns.
Yeah, I'm here to be truthful with you, not to.
Serious would be GRFM.
And, hey, John, that's why we respect your opinion. Okay.
Name one of your bad habits. I always get in my own way.
I always want to get my own way. I have it open.
I tend to act. Oh my god. I don't even think. Do I even have to read the rest of them?
Well, we're never tripping over each other to speak. What are you talking about?
Okay, it's number one. I always get my own way. No, it's number one.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
What is one of your favorite foods?
Ooh.
A roast, hot coffee, an occasional cup of tea, scrambled eggs and rolls, the most expensive item on the menu, or none of your business.
I would like a succulent roast. You need fuel.
I feel like the vibe that I want to bring to OSG is a nice dinner where you and your friends are arguing about the pedantics of a TV show. I think I could see roast.
Okay.
A roast is a meal that, when done properly and served well, will take a podcast's worth of time to get through.
That's so true.
Everything
it will
else
be
would
the roast
be too
power
short.
Hour.
All right, so it's roast.
Yes.
I was going to say, if anybody knows about roast dinner, it's going to be John.
I was in the UK. I had a vegan roast dinner. Did I get scammed? Is that a thing you can do? Is it still a roast dinner if it's not meat?
I mean, was it like a nut loaf, or was it like...
No, it was like fake meat.
I mean, it's tricky, because it's not the genuine roast experience, but you're never going to get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least they didn't just heap some vegetables.
Not enough oppression by the British, right? Needs to be more oppressed. Okay. Got it.
Okay. I don't know. Veganism is pretty colonial. Okay, what do you consider to be one of your best qualities? I think I'm going to make John answer this one too. You often notice things before others do. You are a peaceful person. You are good at hiding things. People admire you. You don't let others push you around. You have lots of money, or you are a stylish person.
Oh, I feel like anyone that I say is an omission of the other ones that feels a bit cruel.
No, it's the one that's most like us. We accept all of these, the good one.
I accept having a lot of money.
I would love to accept it.
I wish.
I'd love to be able to say that you guys are clearly rolling in fat stacks of paper. Alice,
right here. It's Yuri, but it's fat stacks.
For podcast listeners, Alice is making it rain right now. I can't even see
It
her.
is Yuri manga pages, but yeah.
Was one of those people like you?
People admire you.
People admire you. Yeah, I'd say that. You've got a very positive support. Alice is shaking her head, but I won't say
admire me.
I admire Alice every day.
I admire us.
I think you're all very cool, Alice, and you will accept that.
You can admire OSG as a whole and what we're doing for Mechpedia.
Cowboy Bebop eye catch screen, you're going to accept that compliment. What role among others do you usually take on? Protector, problem solver, observer, leader, follower, information seeker, and outcast. We cannot choose leader or follower because those belong to our sister podcast, Follow the Leader.
That's true. I think we're observers because we're definitely not information seekers. I'm going to be real with you. That's GRFM. They're information seeking. We are just looking.
Okay.
We're looking.
What do you think, John? I observer makes sense to me, yeah.
Yeah. Observer, I think. Yeah. You're definitely not outcast.
We are observing.
You know, people listen to this podcast.
We're not the maligned mech podcast.
Yeah. What hidden interest are you most likely to have? Writing, motorcycles, movies, art, singing, technology? Travel/transportation.
Travel/transportation.
People wouldn't believe the technical work that goes into this pod for how dog shit it sent them. It sounds fine. We worked on it.
And then I moved. I think a lot of these could fit for us. I really...
Can I make a pitch here?
Yeah.
Anytime I mention that I drew the cover art, people tend to be startled. I guess they think maybe we commissioned it or something, but I drew it, and Alice actually drew our first ever cover art, which is a little secret behind the paywall. When Alice pitched this podcast, Alice asked us what our favorite mechs were and then drew cover art for us, which I still cherish deeply.
And I can play with PNGs in InDesign, so I think it's...
I literally worked on the Big O2 zine redesign. I think it's art. All
right, art.
And making a website is like making art.
No, that's so true. The OSG website is art.
When Da Vinci was creating his weird helicopters, he said, what if I could use a space herif equals
www.vitruvianman.com/002.
Alice, can I get a clean read of you just saying the phrase Da Vinci? Because I just need it for me.
Da Vinci.
Thank you.
Which are we least likely to be afraid of? Heights, fire, trying to achieve your goals no matter what the cost, losing a little individuality to be part of a larger group, risking your own safety to help others, or everything. I like to think of myself as almost fearless.
This is least likely to be afraid of, so it can't be heights because I'm fucking terrified, and that flips our equation.
Yeah, I'm also terrified of heights.
We are in a 60-meter tall mech. You cannot be scared of heights right now.
Every time I get in it, I make y'all lay down.
I'm in the as the latest iteration of our mech was actually drawn by John, and in that one, I'm in the part of the mech that touches the ground, so I'm okay with that.
And I make you crouch every time I have to get off.
I do not fear fire. I think I could take fire in a fight, right? I think we could all take fire in a fight.
What the hell did you just say?
The question is, which are you least likely to be afraid of? I think it's trying to achieve your goals no matter what the cost. Because we launched this fucking podcast on A Week in a Dream, aka Alice gave us a business pitch. I think we try to achieve our goals. I think that's us.
You're making it happen.
Also, to part the curtain a little bit, between the months of July and September, this podcast was running off of my literal blood, sweat, and tears. So I think I
Brian held the podcast up on his back. So I agree with this.
I was going to say abandonment issues. I think we're least likely to fear abandonment issues.
Not one of the options, but I agree with you.
I just want my father to love me before I burn this dome down.
Someone bumps into you. You are most likely to say excuse me and make sure the person is okay. Be suspicious of their motives. Shout, watch where you're going. Help the person up because she probably fell over. Because they probably fell over. This is an old website. Everyone give it a break. Get your crew to take care of the situation or start planning how to get even with the person.
Okay, so are we in the mech or are we not in the mech when we knock someone over?
I think we gotta be in the mech.
Oh, we gotta help them up because they may be squashed.
I feel like the premise of this podcast exists that we're ultra leftists who have empathy for others in a way that pains us day to day.
Yeah.
And I think that it has to be helping somebody.
I even have empathy for Price of Smiles, which just shows that I'm just like a bleeding heart liberal on the.
I am still plotting my revenge, but
okay. John, what's your thought here?
Yeah, I don't see any of you starting to plan your revenge after you've knocked someone down in the street. I'll get
How
you
dare
for
they
this.
touch it?
I don't think you're that kind of podcast. So yeah, I'm not going to help
We
people
don't
out.
have beef, though we have floated the idea of getting canceled by other podcasts as a joke. So.
Now, do we use the whole big hand and gently pinch the person to lift them up by like the scruff of their neck?
No. We gotta do the thing where we lay the hand down. No, we lay the hand down and they climb in it. That's the classic.
Yeah.
They're on the ground. They can just stand up.
Yeah,
They're
and then they stand up and they
getting
climb in our hand and we raise them up to our eye level. We apologize.
Okay. Acceptable.
What does the past mean to you? We are fascinated by it. We think it should be put behind us. We are occasionally interested in it. The present is all that matters. Sometimes you regret not knowing more about it. The past is only significant as it relates to us personally, or we are usually too busy to think about it.
I think of this in the context of the media we cover. Most things we cover are things from the past that we are discovering or rediscovering, or like one person on the pod hasn't seen it and is now being exposed to it or whatever. I think we have a lot of skepticism for modern anime. I'm thinking of Price of Smiles. So I think I could say you are fascinated by it, or you are occasionally interested in it.
Like, in the specific tone of OSG, like, we are trying to explore our blind spots in a very intensive way. Like, we watched Giant Robo. I wouldn't have done that a second time if it wasn't for this podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never seen Getter Robo. I know what it is, never seen it, and I'm more interested in it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got to be fascinated as, I don't...
Okay.
Also, like, the history we talk about for Japan and just the world.
The
and
nonfiction
all the
books that I just raise with little provocation.
Yeah, Stephen King's The Dome.
Stephen King's The Dome.
Paradigm City, Stephen King, The Dome.
That's the new Fortnite patch. You hear someone calling for help. You would most likely get the police involved. Attempt to handle the situation yourself without question. Only get involved if you think it will benefit you in some way. Take the opportunity to be the hero for once, but only if no one else is around to help. Calmly alert someone nearby of the situation or do nothing.
Hey, I just want to say, when Robot Jocks was down and no one was talking about her, we took the opportunity to be the hero for once, but only because GRFM hadn't covered it yet.
Soil is just dirt.
It's true. John?
Yeah. I think you guys are stepping up.
It's me in a rain-soaked alley holding my hand out to Metallic Rouge and saying, I'm gonna convince them to cover you, even if no one else is talking about you. Don't worry, they let me bring on Price of Smiles. I'm sure I can get away with it a second time.
You're giving things a chance. You're giving them time of day when they don't deserve it in certain cases.
We're like Togasa in the back alley. We're shooting that android and saving that lady. And that lady is Robot Jocks.
And Nico has made the sacrifice of making their only Gundam's G-Savior. So, if that's not heroism, I do not know what is.
Braver than any U.S. Marine.
All right, and unfortunately, this is where we lost the end of John's file, so we don't have John for the end of the game or any of the concluding plugs. Sorry, y'all. To be fair, we were extremely selfish, and this was a mostly us-focused game, so... John, may you live forever and take 1,000 personality tests of your own. Okay, no, I need to correct my only Gundam, G-Savior and Jivo.
Yeah, you can't forget Gundam Evolution. the hero shooter based Gundam game that lasted for 9 months.
All right, final question. Which of these would bother you the most? Someone destroying something important to you, someone taking advantage of a weaker person, someone getting to something you wanted before you, seeing people in trouble, having the truth kept from you, not having enough money, or you're rarely obvious about things that bother you. You deal with them quietly and calmly.
So obviously it's the money one because we live in this world right now. But I want to go with number 2. I don't think any of us like seeing people suffer. Unless it's our friends.
I don't like when a show doesn't get the reception it deserves.
I was going to say someone getting to something you wanted before you, i.e. we wanted to do a game jam and someone else did it first.
Well, it only bothered me in so much as I was like, well, now I have more time to plan it. I honestly think where you're rarely obvious about things that bother you, you deal with them quietly and calmly, because I feel like we've had a lot of fires to put out, especially you, Brian, over the last few months. And I like to think that we have projected a state of calm from the podcast and not been obvious about. We very rarely skip episodes or delay episodes by more than like a day or two.
So that was a fucking lie.
So like
Twins Day.
All right, we have come to terms, which is actually what the button says, which I think is neat. Is everybody ready?
I'm so ready.
Wait. That reaction you just had, I'm so
I can't believe we're Sundowner again.
We got Sundowner. We are Dorothy.
Oh shit! Yeah! Alice is experiencing gender euphoria unlike anything.
Yeah, boy!
While you definitely have opinions on matters and make sure others know about it, you are often willing to go along with what others want as well. I think that's the key sentence from that. That's cute.
I love that.
I love this. Thank you, Brian.
Assigned Dorothy.
Assigned Dorothy a pod.
So, do we have any final thoughts?
I hope Instro's okay. Even though he apparently, Instro has become Catholic, I hope he's okay.
My final thought is everybody should love the Big O, if only for Big O characters and mecha appearing in Super Robot Wars, which will never not be the funniest thing to happen in Super Robot Wars. I love it so much.
Speaking of games.
John, thank you so much for visiting. Really appreciate you being here.
John, where can people find you?
You can find John and the work of the game studio he's part of, Space Colony Studios, on their website, spacecolonystudios.com, and on Blue Sky at spacecolonystudios.bsky.social. Stories from Soul the Gundog is available on Steam, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, all of it, pretty much, right now. Seriously, go play it. Runs like a dream on Steam Deck, because I love to never shut up about it. It's so good.
Talk about so things that are amazing that don't get their feathers.
Hey, holiday is coming up. Gift it to all your friends for Heaven's Day.
Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah.
All right, thanks for listening. Pilots, remember you can reach out for advice from the team at our email, questions@osgpod.com, and non-pilots can send general questions or feedback to the same address. You can also catch up with us on social media. The links are in the description for updates and more. We do have a Discord. We have a Ko-Fi. All that stuff is out there for you to find and participate in.
You can find John on the Discord. Come through.
You can find John on the Discord. He's on the Discord. You can see pictures of John's cool gunpla that he built, which is a robot that we talked about very recently that I won't say which one.
You have to join the Discord to find out.
You have to join the Discord to find out.
Or probably see Skeets and shit.
Make sure to check back in 2 weeks when we will be discussing Avatar by James Cameron.
Oh, fuck, I forgot we were doing this. Shit that people hate, enjoy your Alice cheering in the background.
Until then, goodbye. I love you.
Goodbye. You're a louse.
We've come to terms.